Chapter 1097. Shang, are you okay? True Lord Earthfly noticed that Fong Ping's footsteps were a little sluggish. He turned around to take a look. Fong Ping suppressed the palpitation in his heart, looked at the Kunwang Hall and transmitted his voice. It's nothing. It's just... I heard that there's... He wanted to say something, but he hesitated and didn't say it out loud. Who knew if Di Fei had mentioned the news he had heard? True Lord Earthfly, on the other hand, was not too concerned. He also sent a voice transmission. The celestial Thearcha's remains should be in the hall. Back then I saw it from afar once. Even though it's just his remains, the aura it exudes is extremely powerful. Ordinary true gods would feel their golden bodies being torn apart when they approach it. However, I'm not sure if Cult Master took it with him. Even though the Heavenly Hound was only left with its skeleton, its aura was still too strong. An ordinary storage ring would not be able to fit inside, as it would easily cause the space within the storage ring to collapse. However, Di Fei did not know if King Kuan had any other methods. Almost all the Divine Masters knew that the remains of the Heavenly Hound were in the Divine Sect. However, most of them didn't know much about it. They didn't have the chance to come into contact with it and could only look at it from afar. Celestial Tharch. Fong Ping's face was full of yearning as he muttered, "When will I be able to reach the realm of the Celestial Emperor?" Di Fei laughed. His son was ambitious, but the Sky Emperor was a powerhouse even more powerful than the 8 kings. He was known as the number 1 under the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors. He was also the strongest expert in the 3 realms after the Celestial Realm was destroyed. In the era when the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors disappeared, the Heavenly Hound was the strongest. In that era, the Tengu was the symbol of invincibility, and Di Fei had lived through that era. At this moment, speaking of the Heavenly Hound, Di Fei was also filled with emotions. After the Heaven Realm was destroyed, the 3 realms were in chaos for more than 1,000 years. At that time, the Heavenly Emperor and Emperor Tsang offended many people in the Heavenly Court. The 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors who had protected them had all disappeared. It was said that before the Heaven Realm was destroyed, the supreme expert who had protected Emperor Tsang had also fallen. In those thousands of years, the 2 emperors were troubled by many people. However, the Celestial Tharch brought along Tharch Tsang and slaughtered his way through. In those thousands of years, there were even sages who died in the hands of the Celestial Tharch. Among the 36 saints, it is said that some of them perished in the hands of the Celestial Emperor. They are existences capable of killing saints. Not even a heavenly king could kill a sage. But Heavenly Hound did it. When the Heaven Realm had just been shattered, there were still many experts in the 3 realms. The Heavenly Hound had offended countless people, but the Heavenly Hound had fought for more than 100 years, from the Overlord Realm all the way to the Saint Realm. In the end, they ended up killing a saint, scaring everyone away, and no one chased after them anymore. Di Fei also sighed when he mentioned the past. At that time, the Divine Court was already established. I had just entered the Divine Court. Originally, the Divine Court didn't only have 3 great sect protectors and 8 guardians at that time. There were actually more guardians than now. There was also a sect protector who had just entered the Saint Realm. In the end, they all died in the hands of the Sky Emperor in the chaos. Of course, the guardian of the Divine Sect, who died, was only a novice sage. Later, the Sky Emperor killed the strongest of the 36 sages, which stopped the killing. Fong Ping really knew nothing about this part of history. After the Heavenly Realm was destroyed, there was a period of chaos. It lasted for a long time, about 1,000 or 2,000 years. Only after that did the earthly sovereign's clone appear. A false sovereign appeared, suppressing the 3 realms and stopping the war. The Divine Court lasted for about 3,000 years, until the War of the Earthly Emperor God dynasty broke out and the Divine Court was destroyed. After that, a brief era of sects began. It was also short-lived. Soon, the remaining forces of the Earthly Emperor God dynasty, the 4 majestic halls, ruled the land, which lasted for more than 2,000 years. This was the history of the past 8,000 years after the heavenly realm was destroyed. Fong Ping thought about it and felt that it was not a big problem. He said again, "I'm very curious about the Sky Emperor and the Sky Emperor. Do you know their specific stories, Father?" Di Fei laughed. "I don't know much either. You also know that I achieved Tao at the end of the chaotic era. At that time, compared to these powerhouses, I was just an insignificant ant. It was difficult for us to understand the matters of the big shots. At the end of the chaotic era, the Demon Emperor God dynasty was established. During that time, the Sky Emperor and the Sky Emperor did not appear many times. It was not until the end of the Demon Emperor God dynasty that the Sky Emperor God dynasty came out, tore the void, and descended upon the Demon Emperor God dynasty. Only then did the three realms remember these two." As Di Fei spoke, there was some yearning in his eyes. "I know quite a bit about this matter. That year, before the Demon Emperor's identity was exposed, the Sky Emperor tore the void and descended upon the God dynasty. At that time, the God dynasty suppressed the three realms and was extremely powerful. They had more venerable emperors than the divine sex. The Sky Emperor's arrival caused many venerable emperors to be dissatisfied. There were even saints who tried to expel him. However, that time, the Sky Emperor displayed his ultimate strength again. He swallowed a saint in one gulp and crushed him to death. The three realms were shocked. The Sky Emperor provoked the Demon Emperor in the God dynasty. You have to know that at that time, no one knew that the Demon Emperor was not the earthly emperor. It was terrifying to provoke an emperor. Fong Ping could imagine. It was too domineering. The heavenly hound descended upon the earthly emperor's God dynasty and swallowed a saint directly. At that time, the earthly emperor's avatar was in the God dynasty. It swallowed a person in front of an emperor. Fong Ping's eyes suddenly flickered. Although the heavenly hound and the old cat were mischievous, according to the old cat, other than eating fish, they rarely killed. Even if they ate the fish, they didn't really eat the demonic beasts. For example, although the descendants of the sea guardian were made into steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers, a fish head was still a fish head. If it was cut, the fish might not die. The heavenly hound and the old cat ate monsters and liked sustainable development. Moreover, these two in the heavenly realm did not seem to have a bad relationship with the earthly emperor. However, why did the heavenly hound appear and directly eat a saint? This was obviously a sign of falling out with him. Could it be that the heavenly hound went to find trouble? It was difficult to explain these past events unless it was the person involved. Fong Ping continued to listen. Di Fei did not care about this and continued. At that time, the powerhouses of the three realms thought that the Sky Emperor would definitely die. Who knew that the Demon Emperor did not make a move? Of course, now everyone knows that the earthly emperor's avatar was probably not a match for the Sky Emperor. Fong Ping nodded, slightly, thinking again. Di Fei called the earthly emperor's avatar Demon Emperor. Demon Emperor. This was a belittling title. This was King Kuin's father. Even if it was just an avatar as a subordinate of King Kuin, he could not simply call him that. This was the first time Fong Ping noticed this. What did this mean? The evil sect did not recognize the existence of the earthly emperor's avatar. King Kuin might have even taken the initiative to mention it. Otherwise, this would not have happened. The Sky Emperor devoured a saint and stared at the heavenly court from afar for a long time. Then he broke through the sky and did not stay. At that time, it shocked the three realms. Not long after, the Sky Emperor was going to go on a long journey to find the Sky Cemetery. Fong Ping knew what happened after that. The heavenly hound bid farewell to the old cat and led some venerable emperors and saints to find the Sky Cemetery. Along the way, there were many dangers and countless deaths and injuries. After that, they found the Sky Cemetery. The heavenly hound entered the Sky Cemetery and seemed to have fought with the heavens. In the end, he died in a bloodbath. The evil sex apologist brought his body back and sent it to the King Kuin Palace. Fong Ping nodded slightly and asked curiously, "What about Emperor Sky?" Emperor Sky? Di Fei was about to speak when true Lord Di Chi flew over and said with a smile, "After the Sky Emperor died, Emperor Sky appeared." "No, after the Demon Emperor Dynasty's battle, Emperor Sky appeared. Before that, I'm afraid Emperor Sky had been in a deep sleep." When the Heavenly Hound and the old cat said goodbye, the old cat was still sleeping. At that time, he had a premonition that the war with the Earth Emperor dynasty was about to break out. Therefore, the old cat fell asleep. It was also at that time that the Heavenly Hound went to the Sky Cemetery and died. When the old cat woke up, it was after the Earth Emperor dynasty was destroyed and the sect had just risen. Fong Ping knew everything that happened after that. When the sect was established, the old cat went to the unfinished Quoking Mountain and went fishing. At the same time, he came into contact with unquestionable Jian, who was still weak at that time, and began to bring unquestionable Jian on a sightseeing tour. Di Chi was also talking about this part of history. Soon, however, Fong Ping heard something different. There seems to be something wrong with Emperor Sky's return this time. Di Chi thought about it and said, according to the relationship between Emperor Sky and the Heavenly Emperor, Emperor Sky should not be so calm when the Heavenly Emperor died. However, at that time, Emperor Sky seemed to have forgotten about the Heavenly Emperor's existence and was still playing by himself. This was somewhat unexpected. Di Fei continued, "That's right. At that time, Emperor Sky was not quite normal. The divine sect had also sent people to observe in secret. Emperor Sky seemed to have forgotten many things. Originally, it was said that Emperor Sky knew where the Sky Cemetery was, and the Lord sect leader was also tempted. However, Emperor Sky forgot everything. In addition, he was afraid of some powerhouses who were protecting Emperor Sky, so the divine sect did not do anything to him in the end. At that time, King Kuin was prepared to take down the old cat. However, the commotion would not be small. The old cat was not weak. In addition, venerable emperors like the Dragon Emperor and the North Sea Emperor were on good terms with the old cat. Once they attacked, it would probably be a big commotion. Many emperors would fight, so in the end, King Kuin gave up. Di Chi continued, "The impact of Emperor Sky coming out this time is actually very big." It was different from what the old cat said about sightseeing and relaxing. Di Chi frowned and said, "Maybe someone has been planning since the Heavenly Emperor fell. We have always suspected that Gong Yuzi is one of them." Unquestionable Jian and Emperor Sky came into contact, and his strength improved by leaps and bounds. At that time, there was a saying that after the great chaos came the Golden Age. After the destruction of the Demon Emperor dynasty, there would be a Golden Age. This Golden Age might give birth to a supreme powerhouse. The so-called supreme powerhouses were existences who could shatter the eighth heaven. The Heavenly Emperor was dead, and the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors had disappeared. Some of the old antiques with the strength of the eighth heaven had fallen before the primordial era, while others had never appeared in the 3 realms. They had probably died of old age long ago. After the great chaos came the Golden Age. The 100 schools of thought rose, and the 10 major grotto heavens and 36 minor grotto heavens rose in the land. 2,000 years ago, the owner of the land was the 100 schools of thought. It was a blessed grotto heavens. At that time, everyone knew that the supreme powerhouse might be born in the blessed grotto heavens. Moreover, it was very likely to be a new powerhouse. Venerable Moon Spirit and Venerable Qing Tong were strong, but they had been stuck in the Saint Realm for a long time. The 3 realms powerhouses didn't think it was them. As for Emperor Tsong's appearance, at first, some people thought that North Sea was a candidate for the supreme powerhouse. North Sea's venerable emperor was very young. After he became an emperor and the heavenly realm was destroyed, he was suspected to have obtained the inheritance of Celestial Destruction Emperor, one of the extreme path celestial emperors. At that time, Emperor Tsong was close to him. According to the ancient powerhouses, Tsong Mao could see through some truths. North Sea's venerable emperor was widely recognized as a candidate who could become a supreme powerhouse. And this was related to another case. Fang Ping didn't think much about it before, but now he heard something. The destruction of Kuokang Mountain. North Sea's venerable emperor almost died, and the entire Kuokang Mountain almost disappeared from the three realms. Many people were plotting. It wasn't just the divine sect. Even King Zhen and King Sun were plotting in secret to kill North Sea's venerable emperor. Fang Ping sympathized with Gong Zhuanzi. He was miserable, but he didn't seem to have done anything. This person plotted against him, that person plotted against him, and he almost died in the space battlefield. Even if he didn't die, he would be the only one alive when he came back. The most important thing was, he didn't think too much. He just felt that he was unlucky. Perhaps it was because he didn't think too much that he survived. Ignorance was bliss. Di Qi continued to narrate. Back then, unquestionable Jian appeared beside Song Mao. It was strange. It seemed like Gong Yuzi had arranged it. At that time, Purple Cat Mountain was still very far from Kuokang Mountain. During that time, Song Mao was staying at Kuokang Mountain, fishing near it and having a sumptuous meal. In the end, unquestionable Jian, Gong Yuzi's disciple, unexpectedly appeared near Kuokang Mountain. Even now, Di Qi was still puzzled. He asked doubtfully, was it an accident, or was it inevitable? Unquestionable Jian only rose in the three realms after that. Although it was sudden for him to become a true god, it was still considered peaceful. Actually, the biggest change was the death of his cultivation partner. Fang Ping nodded. The three realms knew about this. Unquestionable Jian went crazy because of his wife's death. 1,000 years ago, he started a war and killed many venerable emperors and countless true gods, creating a bloodbath. Not only that, he was also involved in the North-South War. However, Di Qi said something that Fang Ping didn't know. The sect leader once suspected that unquestionable Jian's cultivation partner's death might have been arranged by Gong Yuzi, or even unquestionable Jian himself. Fang Ping was stunned. Arranged by himself? His goal was to prove his Tao, and to prove his Tao, a lot of things are needed. It's definitely not that simple. True God to breaking 8 is so far away. There might not even be hope in 10,000 years. Di Qi said playfully, but unquestionable Jian's cultivation partner died, and he wants revenge. Emperor Sky. That's a good choice. Emperor Sky's strength isn't considered strong, but he seems to have mastered many ways to make people stronger. He knows Celestial Emperor's Dharma, and even the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors' Dharma. He might have walked out of the sky grave back then. Celestial Emperor's Tao is a dangerous Tao. Emperor Sky pursues good fortune and avoids calamity. Did he not master anything? Facts have proven that Emperor Sky really has mastered the safe way to the sky grave. This was all in hindsight. The powerhouses back then did not know this. However, on this point, more than 2,000 years ago, when unquestionable Jian came out of the sky grave and became a venerable emperor, even vaguely having the strength of a saint, the outside world had already guessed it. At that time, unquestionable Jian had just entered true God level. In the blink of an eye, he became an emperor level, and he was suspected to have hidden his strength and had the strength of a saint. As Di Qi spoke, he sneered and said, "Those fellows from the Demon Emperor fake dynasty always thought that unquestionable Jian had mastered 2 great Tao. In reality, it was more than that. The leader suspected that unquestionable Jian might have gone to the sky grave and stripped some powerhouse's great Tao. He might have mastered 3, 5, or even more great Tao. However, during that time, the leader was also busy with cultivation. The 3 great sect masters might not have been able to take down unquestionable Jian. In the end, the matter was left unsettled. Unquestionable Jian quickly disappeared after the North-South War. Hearing this, Fang Ping's gaze changed. The Demon Emperor's cultivation partner was killed. Did they arrange it themselves? Very likely. Di Chi laughed. The outside world said that someone intervened secretly, wanting to drive Unquestionable Jen crazy and make him mess up the three realms. But Unquestionable Jen was nothing at that time. Although there were rumors of powerhouses, the divine sect was also planning to trigger the North-South War. Once the North-South War broke out, chaos would descend, and Unquestionable Jen would not have a chance to rise. The matter of his cultivation partner was not planned by the divine sect. Moreover, his cultivation partner was killed at the foot of Purple Cap Mountain, not far from where Unquestionable Jen was besieged and killed. Di Chi laughed deeply. This is too surprising. You have to know that when his cultivation partner was killed, Unquestionable Jen was at the scene and even participated in the battle. In the end, he made a mistake and killed his cultivation partner. What a blow it was! But Unquestionable Jen was already a true god back then. Gong Yuzi was in the mountain. There were still many true gods in Purple Cap Mountain who would make a move at this time. Fang Ping was also stunned for a moment. That was true. Why did they have to make a move here? Now that I think about it, some things are actually more obvious. Di Chi laughed. That's because they could only make a move here, because this is their home ground. At that time, Emperor Sky and Unquestionable Jen were on good terms. Once Unquestionable Jen left the mountain, Emperor Sky would appear, but when Unquestionable Jen returned to the mountain, Emperor Sky would not appear. He doesn't like to go to Purple Cat Mountain. The old cat said that it did not like Gong Yuzi. This fellow was always scheming, so it almost never went to Purple Cat Mountain. After Di Chi said that, Fang Ping felt a sudden realization. When Unquestionable Jen returned to the mountain, the old cat would not appear to ambush him. Otherwise, if the old cat appeared, even if there was an emperor-level attack, there was a high chance that they would not be able to do anything to them. Forget emperor-level. Fang Ping suspected that even saints or even heavenly kings might not be able to kill Unquestionable Jen's wife. The old cat was not considered powerful. It seemed to be just emperor-level, but it had many divine weapons. Not only did it have many divine weapons, but it also had many tricks, often beyond one's expectations. But Fang Ping suddenly thought of something. Outsiders did not seem to know how many divine weapons the old cat had. They all knew that it had the sky gong and the divine peeking mirror. However, the divine peeking mirror had been broken back then. In everyone's impression, the fragments were not with the old cat. Only the sky gong was still there. However, the sky gong did not have a very strong attack power. The old cat had also shown a few divine weapons, but they were all lent to others. It only kept a fishing rod for itself. But others might not know that the fishing rod was a divine weapon. Those who knew, Unquestionable Jen, because they knew the old cat's tricks and knew that the old cat had many divine weapons. They felt that the old cat was not easy to deal with. Hearing this, even Fang Ping was suspicious. Back then, when Unquestionable Jen's Taoist partner was attacked, was it really someone who schemed against them? Self-directed and self-acted? As an actor, a thoughtful powerhouse. Fang Ping also felt that this was like a show when he put himself in the shoes of the old cat. A big show for the old cat to watch. As for whether Unquestionable Jen was an actor or someone who did not know, it was hard to prove now. But he had indeed won the old cat's sympathy. The old cat gave him a chance to take revenge by letting him go to the Sky Cemetery. Hence, the rise of the Devil Emperor later. In the past, Fang Ping really did not think about this. Today, he could not help but think more. As he thought about it, Fang Ping said again, Lord Ground Chi, can you tell me about true Lord Divine Foresight? Divine Foresight? Ground Chi was a little surprised, but he still smiled and said, this person is also considered an anomaly. Actually, true Lord Divine Foresight also has a background. He might not even know it himself. True Lord Divine Foresight's ancestor was a member of Emperor Sky Palace. His title was Emperor Fushan. Of course, he also had another title. He was the brushing general that Emperor Sky mentioned. However, in the ancient times, before the heavenly realm was destroyed, Emperor Fushan was said to have participated in a great battle and died in the bitter sea. The divine sect has done some investigations on these people around Emperor Sky. True Lord Divine Foresight is indeed a descendant of Emperor Fushan, although the bloodline is a little old. I'm afraid there are not many people who know this. The sect leader is experienced and knowledgeable, so he could recognize it. The others might not really know. However, Gong Yuzi might not be unaware. Ground Chi laughed. Gong Yuzi insisted on True Lord Divine Foresight to be the brushing general for Emperor Sky. It might not be a coincidence. Maybe it was a test, or to appease Emperor Sky. Emperor Sky might not remember Emperor Fushan, and he might not know that True Lord Divine Foresight is his descendant. However, it is said that Emperor Fushan took care of Emperor Sky in every possible way. After that, he even fought a bloody battle for Emperor Sky and died in the bitter sea. If his descendant appears near Emperor Sky, even if Emperor Sky doesn't know, he will be more kind, a trap. At this moment, Fang Ping suddenly felt that it was really a trap. The birth of the Demon Emperor was a trap from the beginning to the end. It was not a trap that was set up after the death of Unquestionable's swordsmanship partner. It was not an accident that Cat met Unquestionable. After Heavenly Dog died, someone set their eyes on Cat. Maybe Gong Juanzi was the real protagonist of that era. However, someone used Unquestionable to replace Gong Juanzi's position. Otherwise, according to normal development, the masters of the 10 grotto heavens were close to the saint realm. If Cat gave him a divine weapon and imparted some 9 emperors and 4 emperor-level cultivation methods and combat techniques, Gong Juanzi might become a saint very soon. Moreover, he would be a powerful saint. Even the Demon Emperor could become a saint when he went to the sky cemetery. If Gong Juanzi, a powerhouse with the strength of a saint, went there, he might become a heavenly king very soon, breaking 7 or even 8. Someone is playing chess, setting up a trap and replacing the position of the protagonist. Fang Ping sighed in his heart. If this was not done by the evil sect, then who was it? Was it Gong Yuzi? However, Gong Yuzi was only an emperor level now. It might not be him. Maybe he was just a part of it. Other heavenly kings? Not necessarily. If it was really other heavenly kings, it wouldn't be Unquestionable who went to the sky cemetery. It would be those heavenly kings who's scheming against Cat. Fang Ping narrowed his eyes. All of this was built on the foundation of Cat. Someone was scheming against this Cat. They had been scheming against it since the heavenly emperor died. Did Cat know? It said that after Unquestionable's wife died, Unquestionable was no longer that Unquestionable. Fang Ping remembered. The Cat seemed to have said this before. Did it realize something? The last time, Cat seemed to be very calm when it saw Unquestionable. It did not have much of a reaction. This was different from what Cat said about missing Unquestionable. The Unquestionable that Cat missed was probably the Unquestionable who accompanied it on a sightseeing trip. This is getting more and more interesting. Fang Ping sneered in his heart. There might be someone behind Unquestionable, and he reincarnated to escape from this person's sight. Cat said that Unquestionable would not reincarnate. Unquestionable was already very powerful. Why did he reincarnate? Could it be that he had no choice but to reincarnate to avoid the person in the dark? The truth will come to light very soon. Now that everything that should appear was about to appear, Fang Ping believed that everything would be revealed very soon. As for himself, at that time, he would also need to possess the corresponding strength. He had to settle the evil sect, destroy the Kuan King's clone, mend the brain core, and even swallow the fruit of heavenly wood to make himself stronger. This was what he had to do next. Before old Zhang and the rest broke the fake sky cemetery, Fang Ping had to be invincible in the 3 realms, at least for now. Only then could he do what he wanted to do. I have to get to work. Maybe I can take this opportunity to wipe out the evil sect in one fell swoop. Fang Ping was ambitious. He wanted to prove his Tao as soon as possible. After that, he would have emperor-level combat strength and would no longer be an insignificant person. He would no longer need to be overly cautious. He could officially step onto the stage and compete with powerhouses from all sides. Chapter 1098. Global High Martial Arts. Sorry, the backstage is lagging. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1099. As they chatted, they moved away from the Kunwang Hall. Fang Ping did not look at the Kunwang Hall anymore. Even if the golden body of the heavenly dog was there, he could not take it away. 100 God Hall of the Divine Court. This was where the gods usually discussed matters. At its peak, there were close to 100 true god powerhouses and venerable emperors in the divine sect. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was the 100 God Hall. But now, the enormous palace hall was exceptionally cold and cheerless. In one day, 2 true gods and 1 venerable emperor had died. At this moment, the huge divine sect only had 2 venerable emperors and 8 true gods, including Fang Ping. 10 people. This was the strongest combat power of the divine sect at present. Sit. In the huge hall, Taoist Fengyun and Thunder Venerable Emperor sat on the thrones on the left and right of the hall. At this moment, the 2 thrones were facing the crowd instead of facing each other sideways like they usually did. Below them, there were many thrones, and they were all very tall. True Lord Dickey and the others had their own seats. They walked to their seats and sat down. Fang Ping was a little lost. He did not know where to sit. Fortunately, Di Fei was here. He gave Fang Ping a look and asked him to sit behind True Lord Dixing. As a new true god, even if he was not weak, it was better to keep a low profile. It was better to sit behind the veteran true gods. Thunder did not speak, but Taoist Fengyun glanced at Fang Ping. This powerhouse, whose appearance could not be seen clearly usually, showed his true face. He looked like an immortal. He really looked like an immortal. His long hair and beard were all white. He looked kind and kind. He looked like a good person. Fang Ping complained in his heart. He looked like a good person, but there were not many good people. This Taoist Fengyun gave him the feeling that he was more difficult to deal with than Thunder, Venerable Emperor. Among the 3 protectors left by the evil sect, this guy was the most mysterious and knew more things. Fang Ping was most afraid of being found out by him, so he kept a low profile. He sat below Dixing without saying a word. He did not speak, but Taoist Fengyun smiled faintly. True Lord Yunsheng's breakthrough was somewhat unexpected. When I ranked the 3 realms ranking list, Yunsheng was ranked 42nd on the rank 9 list. Now those who ranked higher are either dead or disappeared. Only in the human realm, Zhao Xingwu, Wu Chuan, and Kong Lingyuan all broke through unexpectedly. Yunsheng, you were able to break through and surpass people like Li Wuqi, Jiang Su, and Yu Wuhua to become a true god. The divine sect is delighted. Yunsheng's ranking was not high. Others might not understand him, but Taoist Fengyun knew him quite well. As he spoke, a small stone tablet appeared in his hand. Amidst Fang Ping's lingering fear, Taoist Chongqing laughed. It's time for you to enter the true god ranking list. Then, on the small stone tablet, the name Yunsheng flashed and disappeared, instantly entering the real god ranking list. Fang Ping knew about this thing. Back then, in the land of king battles, this thing was extremely mysterious. He had heard the people who came out first talk about it. Whoever died, their aura would dissipate. Whoever was alive, whoever broke through, would be able to sense it. He had killed Yunsheng previously. Logically speaking, his name should have been extinguished. But now his name hadn't been extinguished, so he should have replaced Yunsheng's existence. However, at that moment, it should have flickered. Of course, in Fang Ping's opinion, Taoist Fengyun's capture of aura should have a range. He could not possibly capture it all the time. Otherwise, it would be too scary. Who lived and who died in the three realms? Would it not all be within his control? Even so, Fong Ping was still afraid. That day when he killed Yun Sheng, if Taoist Feng Yin was nearby, he might have discovered it. Taoist Feng Yin knew that Fong Ping could change his aura. He had experienced it before. Even if there were not many outsiders who came out alive from the land of king battles that day, there were many from overseas immortal islands, including Yun Sheng himself. This guy might have known about Fong Ping. Fong Ping was afraid. It was too dangerous. This guy seemed to have a mirror that imitated the divine peephole, called Heavenly Inquisition, treasured mirror or something. It was probably this treasured mirror that gave him this ability, capturing some aura of life. Fong Ping was still afraid, but Taoist Feng Yin was not too bothered. He laughed. Yun Sheng, you can achieve 8 refinements of the golden body, which is beyond my expectations. It seems like the world has really changed. It's easier to comprehend Tao now. Some boundaries have been broken. The white-haired Taoist Feng Yin lamented. In ancient times, it was still relatively easy to achieve 7 and 8 refinements. Beginner martial artists could even achieve 9 refinements. It's a pity that Tao is sealed. Although it makes it easier for us to cultivate and control our strength, and the danger of cultivation is greatly reduced, there are also some restrictions. He said it casually, but Fong Ping felt that he had gained a lot. It turned out that before Tao was sealed, 7 and 8 refinements were not considered difficult. It was so difficult now because Tao was sealed. No wonder ancient powerhouses could even come into contact with the realm of Jade Bone. Taoist Feng Yin lamented. Venerable Emperor Thunder said impatiently, Feng Yin, get to the point. Feng Yin did not mind. He sighed. I came back late. I didn't expect Yan Ji, earthly hero and diamond, to fall. First earthly Zhou, then earthly wisdom. It's only been a few days. Sigh. The cult leader is back. How are we going to explain? How many days had it been since everyone entered the sacred cemetery? So many powerhouses had died. He was really helpless. Thunder said nothing, his eyes gloomy. Feng Yin said this as soon as he came back. Who was he trying to make things difficult for? Do you believe that I won't join forces with Earthly Oddity and the rest to kill you? Venerable Emperor Thunder himself was shocked by this thought. He was a little irritable today, thinking about killing them at the drop of a hat. This was not good. He had to be more careful lest he was schemed against. Taoist Feng Yin stopped lamenting and said quickly, I called everyone here this time because I have something important to say. This matter is related to the human world. Taoist Feng Yin said with a solemn expression. A few days ago, King Human killed earthly wisdom in the outer realm and destroyed the 3 major grotto heavens. There were many true gods present that day, but none of them stopped him. I sensed that something was wrong and asked around in secret. After asking around, I finally gained some information. King Human Fong Ping contacted all parties and prepared to destroy Pantheon. What a joke! Venerable Emperor Thunder slammed his palm down, causing the throne to tremble. He said coldly, Fong Ping, you have a death wish. How dare you attack Pantheon? Sigh. Taoist Feng Yin sighed. Fong Ping's words have bewitched everyone. Now, Taoist Ming Ting, true Lord Qinghua, these people have been bewitched and intend to invade Pantheon. If it was before, I wouldn't be afraid. But now, he glanced below. It was cold and empty. There were 8 true gods. He sighed. If not for Yun Sheng's advancement, there would only be 7 true gods. In the outside world, there are many true god powerhouses. The number of powerhouses participating this time might exceed the number of fingers on 2 hands. Many of them were very powerful. For example, Ming Ting was not far from emperor level. Ground Oddity might not be his match. Qinghua and the others were also powerhouses. But on their side, a powerhouse like Earthly Hero was dead. Now, apart from Ground Oddity, Dark Earth was not weak, but he was probably on par with the true gods of the outer realms. The others might be slightly weaker. If they really fought, the two of them were powerful, but who knew if the three realms still had venerable emperors? At this point, Taoist Fengyan suddenly said, "Thunder, don't underestimate him. This time, I also discovered something. The three realms might have a powerhouse awakening." A powerhouse that died. Taoist Fengyan said softly, "Before this, I had been in seclusion in a space battlefield. I left for something last time. Not long after that, I went back and the space battlefield disappeared." What? Thunder was shocked. Not only him, but the people below were also extremely shocked. Ground Oddity hurriedly said, "Guardian Feng, could it be that the source space was unable to support itself after all these years and collapsed?" "That's possible," Taoist Fengyan said, "but it shouldn't have collapsed without leaving any traces. It seems like a powerhouse awakened, left the place, and took away the source space." Taoist Fengyan said with a frown, "Back then, those who could leave the source space, no matter how weak they were probably peak venerable emperors. Most of them were saints or even heavenly kings. Now, if someone awakened, it'll be very troublesome. Especially now, the human king is spreading rumors that the divine court has a heavenly emperor golden body." Thunder said coldly, "He's well informed, so it's not a rumor." They were all on the same side, so they knew everything. It was indeed not a rumor. "If that's all, do you think the powerhouses of the three realms will be tempted?" Taoist Fengyan shook his head and said, "You're thinking too simply. The human king's mouth is not that easy to deal with. Not only did he spread this news, but he also said that the heavenly emperor is not dead. Rumble. Many of them could not stabilize their auras." They looked in the direction of the Earth King Hall, their faces full of shock. What a joke! The heavenly emperor is not dead. That's too dangerous. The heavenly emperor was such a domineering person dog. All these years he had been placed in the Earth King Hall, like an exhibit by the sect leader. No one knew how the sect leader was experimenting. If he was still alive, the entire divine court would be destroyed. Thunder was also shocked, but he soon calmed down, frowning and saying, "Nonsense." "That's right. I also know he's talking nonsense." Fengyan said helplessly, "But what he said is reasonable. Even the golden body in the divine court knows." Earth wisdom was even bewitched by him and became a witness on his behalf. Those people believed it without a doubt, and Fang Ping said he could strip the heavenly emperor Tao. "Thunder, you know how serious this is." "Bastard." Thunder Venerable Emperor was furious. After his anger subsided, he suddenly said, "He can strip the heavenly emperor Tao." Taoist Fengyan was speechless. Listen, even his own people were suspicious and had ideas, let alone outsiders. All right, he heard it for the first time, and he was tempted. He was an emperor. Once Fang Ping could really strip the heavenly emperor Tao, he would soon be able to walk the heavenly emperor Tao, comprehend a new Tao, and walk to the emperor level. Then, Saint Heavenly King, break 7, break 8, there was still hope for all of them. Who could not be tempted? But the more it was so, the more dangerous it was. Even he wanted to capture Fang Ping and strip the Tao for himself. If he could not suppress this impulse, what about the others? At this moment, everyone in the hall was deep in thought. Taoist Fengyan shook his head and said, "Everyone, I still have to say a few words. No matter what you think, at this moment, the divine court is facing the biggest crisis of life and death since its establishment. If it is not handled properly, the divine court will be in danger of being destroyed. Whether you have ideas or not, now, we must solve the problem outside the divine court. Otherwise, I'm worried that we will all die before the sect leader returns." Thunder frowned and said, "You and I are both emperors. Why should we be afraid of them? Even if powerhouses come back to life, they might not be at peak combat strength. Besides, the divine court still has many true gods." As he said that, Thunder said coldly, "If it doesn't work, we'll capture the ringleader first. Everything is Fang Ping's bewitching. If it doesn't work, we'll kill our way into the human realm and capture Fong Ping. Capture Fong Ping. He did not say kill, only this sentence. Everyone was not an idiot. They all understood what it meant. Of course, no one said it was inappropriate. Capturing Fong Ping might be even better. It's not that simple. Taoist Fengyan frowned and said, in the human realm, there are Fong Ping and Wu Chuan, both true gods. Also, I suspect that the Netherworld King. No, maybe it's not the Netherworld King. Anyway, there's another powerhouse guarding. Previously, when Fong Ping destroyed the 3 major grotto heavens, someone impersonated Fong Ping and guarded the human realm, suppressing all the heavenly passages in an instant. Even if he's not an emperor, he's a near-emperor powerhouse. Of course, he did not say that his style was not like Li Zhen's. He felt that it might not be Li Zhen. However, there were also a few near-emperor powerhouses. If it was not Li Zhen, who could it be? This was a headache. A near-emperor powerhouse and 3 true gods were not weak. They could fight with an emperor. Moreover, powerhouses in the human realm were also notoriously difficult to deal with. If they could not quickly kill the others, capture Fong Ping or kill Fong Ping, they would soon be surrounded and killed by all parties. Who asked the divine sect to be so popular now? It's not the Netherworld King. Thunder had been looking for Li Zhen for a while, but did not find anything. At this moment, he could not help but say, could it be that there's another near-emperor powerhouse in the human realm? That's not to be underestimated. There might not be. Taoist Fengyan thought for a while and said, that day when the sect leader and the others entered the celestial cemetery, I was not far from there. I did not find any emperor-level qi activity. They should have all gone in. Unless the Netherworld King's injuries are too severe and covered by the sea of misery, I did not notice. After saying so much, Thunder was a little irritated. This human realm was indeed a threat. Killing his way into the human realm and capturing Fong Ping was not an easy task. Fengyan, what do you mean? I was thinking that Yan Ji is also here, so I'm not afraid. Seeing Thunder's unfriendly gaze, Taoist Fengyan did not continue. He changed the topic and said, now we only have a chance by provoking their internal war. Otherwise, if Divine Court is discovered, we'll be in danger. Internal war? The human realm is also a great enemy of all sides. Now, the reason why they can join forces is because they are driven by benefits. Taoist Fengyan's eyes flickered. But what if there are no benefits? Or what if we take the initiative to give up some benefits? Mingting is very strong. Wangwu is not weak either. We can take the initiative to contact these people and come to the divine sect to comprehend Tao together. The fewer competitors, the better. First, we will join forces to kill the others, force the human realm, intimidate Fong Ping into coming to divine court on his own initiative, and take away the Tao of Heavenly Emperor. As soon as this was said, Thunder Venerable Emperor fell into deep thought. Maybe this was a way. It was not that easy to comprehend the golden bone. Even the Earth King Hall's array was not broken. That was a 4-layered heavenly array that had the power of a slayer. The outside world did not know about this. But will they take the bait? Thunder thought for a while and said, these people also know that the divine sect is powerful. What if you die? Fengyan's eyes flickered. Thunder's expression changed, revealing a look of vigilance instantly. Taoist Fengyan saw this and said with a smile, I'm saying that Yan Ji's death today caused quite a commotion. There are movements in the outside world. And everyone only knows that there are 2 guardians in Divine Court, not a 3rd one. One is dead, and I'm the only one here. Tell me, is the threat still that big? Contact a few more people for 5 true gods, or even 7 or 8. Will they refuse? Instead of fighting to the death with us, why not comprehend Tao together? We can also deal with the human realm and seize the divine weapon of the 4 reincarnations. Taoist Fengyan had the pearl of wisdom in his hands. He smiled and said, they will consider it. Moreover, there is still a master god in divine court outside. With him taking the lead, the others will also hesitate. Is it difficult to deal with the divine sect or the human realm? Below, Fong Ping cursed in his heart. This old man was really not a good person. Not to mention, with Qing Hua and the others' personalities, they might really agree. There was no other way. In their opinion, the divine sect was actually more trustworthy than Fong Ping. Previously, there was no other way. Now that Thunder was dead, and there was only Feng Yin left, it was not impossible for them to cooperate. Moreover, Fong Ping was too heavy-handed, easily wiping out sects. Which of these people was not afraid? Also, the evil sect actually still had a master god outside. Who was it? That day, Fong Ping calculated that 14 master gods might not have entered. Now, there were 9 in Divine Court. He thought that the remaining 5 had all left and entered the fake heavenly grave under other identities. Now it seemed that there was at least one person outside, and he might have an official identity. Who was the master god? Old man, you're so sinister. You actually let Thunder play dead. Believe it or not, I'll really kill you. Fong Ping continued to curse in his heart. He was also glad that he had snuck in. Moreover, Taoist Feng Yin knew so much. Could it be that there really was a master god last time? He began to recall the people who knew the news last time. Who could possibly be a master god? He had to be careful. In the basilica, Venerable Emperor Thunder was deep in thought. Below, Fong Ping did not want to attract attention, but he still opened his mouth and said, Guardian Wind, if it's possible. Now that the situation is not good, why don't we open the Earth King Hall first? Nonsense. How dare you? Taoist Feng Yin and Thunder Emperor scolded at the same time. Fong Ping lowered his head and said respectfully, Yun Sheng also wants to share the divine court's burden. It's urgent. If there really is a treasure in the sect leader's basilica that can enhance our strength, both venerable emperors will improve and become stronger powerhouses. There's no need to lower your head to others. If those people really enter divine court, sir, you have to be careful. What if? Yun Shang is saying, what if they really get the opportunity? When their strength increases, won't we be inviting trouble into the house? Fong Ping looked uneasy, as if he was extremely worried. At this moment, everyone's eyes flickered. Why don't we work together to open it first? If there were really benefits, why should we give them to outsiders? Even if they did not have good intentions, what if they really got the benefits? If that happened, it would really be like what Yunsheng said. They would benefit the outsiders. No one said anything. At this moment, no one could say anything, but in reality, they all had the same thought. Even Taoist Feng Yin was no exception. What a good, urgent matter. Divine Court was in danger, and they were about to be destroyed. If the sect leader knew, he would not blame them, right? If he became a saint and a heavenly king, why would he care about those true gods besieging him? One by one, they looked at each other, but no one said anything. Even the Thunder Venerable Emperor, who wanted to open it the most, was silent at this moment. Thinking was one thing, but they were all here. At this time, whoever brought it up first might be in big trouble. Yun Sheng said it first. Once the sect leader returned, this kid might be in big trouble. However, he was not important enough. Maybe they still needed someone important enough to speak up. Fong Ping cursed again in his heart. This group of guys, what were they pretending for? This time he came. If he could let them succeed in their plot, then he was the one who was useless. Just wait and see. If he made the first move, these guys would definitely agree in the end. Open the Earth King Hall. It would be best if he could kill a few more true gods or venerable emperors. That would be the best. Also, he had to talk to Dixing later. Gu Quan, give him a little. Fong Ping felt that it was not a big problem. He needed to recover from some brain injuries now. Maybe he could go further today. In the main hall, there was silence again. Di Fei glanced at Yun Sheng, a little helpless. A newborn calf was not afraid of a tiger. How dare he mention this? However, his son had already said it. What else could he do? At most, I'll leave the pantheon before the sect leader returns. Thinking of this, True Lord D. Fei suddenly said, "Open it. Do we really have to wait until the divine sect is invaded by foreign enemies before opening it? Luring foreign powerhouses to the pantheon is also a big crime. It may not be better than opening the temple." Everyone looked at each other. Thunder Venerable Emperor said lightly, "Everyone, Di Fei and Yun Sheng have proposed opening the temple. Does anyone have any objections?" Fang Ping despised them in his heart. They were as timid as a mouse. Even at this time they were still pretending. "You killed Dijia. Are you going to pretend that nothing happened? You're thinking too much." He looked down on these people. It would be strange if this kind of people advanced on the great path. Everyone was speechless. Silence was a tacit agreement. At this time, Thunder was decisive. He said in a low voice, "If that's the case, then open the Earth King Hall. The Pantheon crisis has to be like this." After a long speech, Thunder could not hide his excitement. Opening the hall, could he become a saint or a king? Chapter 1100. Everyone agreed to open the Earth King Hall. Everyone suppressed the excitement in their hearts. What was hidden in the sect leader's hall? All these years, the sect leader rarely left the hall and had been cultivating in the Earth King Hall. There were several times when the Earth King Hall erupted violently. Even if someone had been to the Earth King Hall, it was only the outer hall and a glimpse. Now that there was a chance to go to the Earth King Hall, who would not be excited? Preparations were still needed to open the hall. Everyone decided to open it tomorrow. In fact, it was also to give everyone some time to reach some agreements. Some wanted to rope in a few true gods. Some wanted to secretly reach an agreement with the emperor level. These true gods had lived for so many years. Their minds were twisted and twisted. It was not so easy to choose a side. Fang Ping was not in the mood to care about all this. Di Xing flew to discuss matters with Di Qi. Fang Ping, on the other hand, was all smiles as he walked with Di Xing. Di Xing's expression was not good. Yun Sheng came to find him now. He knew what this guy wanted to do. True Lord Di Xing did not say anything and flew directly to his mansion. As for Fang Ping, he was also afraid that others would benefit from it, so he followed quietly. Watching the two leave, the others glanced at them and did not say anything. Di Xing was the weakest, and Yun Sheng had just advanced. They did not care much about what the two talked about. Taoist Feng Yin took a second look. Since when did Di Xing and Yun Sheng have such a good relationship? However, he still had things to do and did not care. Di Xing's mansion. In the hall. As soon as True Lord Di Xing landed, someone came forward to serve him. True Lord Di Xing waved them away and sat straight on the main seat. Fang Ping smiled and sat down at the side. Both of them were silent for a while. Di Xing snorted softly and released his mentality, setting up a defense. Only then did he say coldly, "Yun Sheng, what do you want?" "Master Di Xing, you misunderstood." Fang Ping chuckled. "Master, you have collected a lot of ancient springs from the longevity spring. I have not had the time to congratulate you. I came specially to congratulate you." Di Xing's expression was cold. Fang Ping saw that he did not speak. His smile faded and he said calmly, "There are some ancient springs in the longevity spring. Now, no ancient springs have appeared for 1,000 years. The immortality ancient spring had extraordinary effects. It could increase one's lifespan, temper one's golden body, purify one's spiritual sense. Yun Sheng had never seen such a treasure before. "Sir, it's rare for an ancient spring to appear in this world. Yun Sheng wants to take a look." Di Xing's expression was unsightly. He had overseen the eternal spring for thousands of years, and it was only because there were no more ancient springs appearing that he, a weakling, had the opportunity to oversee it. In the past, it would have been an emperor-level being in charge. In fact, back then, one of the 3 great sect protectors was in charge. In the past 1,000 years, it was also a coincidence that the ancient spring had erupted recently. He blocked the news and secretly stole it. Who knew that even so, he would still bump into someone. His luck could be considered to be extremely bad. At this moment, Yun Sheng had followed him to the door. How could he not understand his intentions? After closing his eyes for a moment, the Earth Executioner opened his eyes and said, "The greatest effect of the longevity spring is to increase one's lifespan. If a true god consumed one drop, their lifespan would increase by 100 years. Yunsheng, you are still young. Your father, Difei, has not reached the end of his lifespan. As for me, my injuries back then were not light. My golden body was dried up and my origin was exhausted. My lifespan was approaching its end. This time, I captured a drop of the longevity spring with great difficulty. If you need treasures, I will try my best to satisfy you." Powerhouses, according to their strength, lived for different periods of time. With a golden body, it was not a big problem to live for 1,000 years. At the peak, the origin would transform. In theory, that was a lifespan of 10,000 years. At the emperor level and saint level, the stronger one's strength, the longer one could live. However, these were all theoretical limits. If you were killed tomorrow, then you could only live until tomorrow. If you were injured, the imperishable substance was greatly depleted. The golden body was broken and reforged, mentality was damaged. All these would consume a person's lifespan. Vitality came from the gate of life. If you were injured, fighting, all these would consume. If a true god purely went into closed-door cultivation for 10,000 years, then they would definitely live to 10,000 years old. There were people who had done this before. However, with continuous battles and constant injuries, unless you had treasures to constantly repair and replenish these consumption, it was extremely difficult to live to the theoretical limit. The Earth Executioner knew the purpose of Yun Sheng's visit. At this moment, he was also extremely sincere. He could give Yun Sheng other treasures, but he needed the longevity ancient spring. However, Fong Ping looked at him with a faint smile and said faintly, "Sir, one drop." "That's right." The Earth Executioner's expression did not change. He said softly, "The longevity ancient spring is extremely difficult to appear. It's already an accident that one drop appeared. 1,000 years ago, some could be captured, but they were all taken away by the few guardians and lord guardians. If we, the lord gods, want to obtain one drop, we won't be rewarded without great merit." Back then, the heavenly court even had a mission to guard the human world for 100 years to obtain a drop of the longevity ancient spring. Yun Sheng, you should know the dangers of the human world. Those years when the heavenly king of suppression was in the human world, even the emperor level was in danger of dying. Only then could you obtain a drop. Fong Ping was not interested in listening to this. He smiled again and said, "Sir, if there is really only one drop, of course it is yours, sir. However, this time when the longevity ancient spring erupted, Sir really only captured one drop?" Fong Ping said softly, "When Sir captured the longevity ancient spring, unfortunately Yun Sheng was outside. At that time, I sensed many strong life auras. I'm afraid there were no less than 10. The Earth Executioner's face turned green. 10. How dare you say that? He really did not get that many. From the beginning to the end, his luck was not bad, and he had captured 4 drops of the longevity ancient spring. Now there were actually 10. Taking a deep breath, the Earth Executioner said in a low voice, "1 drop! This is also my limit. Nephew, after all, I have guarded the longevity spring for 1,000 years. Previously, when you said to attack Earthman, I did not hesitate. Now my lifespan is exhausted. Do you really want to force me to this point, dear nephew?" 2 drops. Fong Ping said calmly, "My father needs a drop." Yun Sheng also wants to try the effects of the longevity spring. Since the longevity ancient spring erupted, Sir might be able to capture some more. Yun Sheng promises that this matter will not be leaked. At that time, Sir still has a chance. However, once this matter is leaked, the longevity spring will definitely be taken away by the 2 emperors. What do you think, sir? The Earth Executioner pondered for a moment, a fierce glint flashing in his eyes. Very quickly he restrained it. His strength was not considered strong. If a battle with Yun Sheng really broke out, he might not be his match. Coupled with Earthman and the current chaotic situation. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on the Earth Executioner's face, and he said, "Slowly, good. Nephew is indeed powerful. No wonder you can become the first true god prodigy in 2,000 years. Yes, 2,000 years. No one in the evil sect had achieved true god in 2,000 years. Fang Ping was actually still a little surprised. There were many powerhouses in the evil sect. Why had no one become the top in 2,000 years? There were still some 2,000 years ago, and there were quite a few. 72 Lord Gods. Actually, some of them were not the first Lord Gods. During the turmoil, many Lord Gods died. Some of the Lord Gods who came later were added. However, since the end of the North-South War 2,000 years ago, no one in the evil sect had achieved true God. Fang Ping was secretly suspicious. Could it be King Kuan's doing? It was hard to say. He could not be bothered with these. At this moment, he was staring at the Earth Executioner, waiting for him to take out the Longevity Ancient Spring. He was really quite interested. What did this ancient spring look like? The Earth Executioner did not speak. Instead, he set up layers of barriers again. Until he felt that no one could detect it, he opened the Sanjiao Gate. Yes, the Sanjiao Gate, the Gate of Life. The ancient spring was located in the Gate of Life. It was the best choice. The moment he opened the Gate of Life, Fang Ping was a little stunned. 1 drop of ancient spring? You guys call this 1 drop? At this moment, in his Gate of Life, 2 chubby fat babies flew out. As soon as they came out, the 2 fat babies were like real people. With a look of horror on their faces, they fled quickly. Their strength was not weak. No wonder the Earth Executioner said to catch them. Fang Ping was puzzled at first. It was not easy for a paragon like him to catch a few drops of spring water. Now he understood. Yeah. The 2 fat babies were not slow. They gave Fang Ping the feeling that they had at least the speed of a rank 8. The life aura on their bodies was incomparably rich. At this moment, they were eager to escape. They kicked their little fat legs and were about to fly out. However, just as they flew up, they were bounced back with a bang. True Lord Earth Executioner set up a restriction. Actually, they could break it. True Lord Earth Executioner stretched out his big hand and grabbed the 2 babies in an instant. There was some reluctance and regret. These ancient springs are fine in the outside world. In the Longevity Ancient Spring, they are integrated with the spring water. Their speed is extremely fast. I also spent a lot of time and energy to catch them. Yeah. The 2 crystal-like fat babies struggled in his big hands. Fang Ping looked at them and said with some surprise, "Sir, has the ancient spring become a demon?" "Not a demon." True Lord Earth Executioner thought for a while before saying, "The Longevity Ancient Spring is rich in life force and spirit chi. After so many years, these ancient spring waters have developed some simple intelligence. They are comparable to the middle and low-ranked monster plants. Monster plants below the high ranks had almost no intelligence. However, they had some instincts. They would instinctively absorb energy to strengthen themselves. Monster plants would only develop some intelligence when they reached the high ranks. In this aspect, they were slightly inferior to monster beasts. When monster beasts reached the middle ranks, although they were somewhat delirious, they still had fear, greed, and anger. Monster plants did not have these kinds of emotions. Fang Ping understood, but he was still a little shocked. This spring water had actually become a spirit. This also indirectly showed how terrifying the Longevity Ancient Spring was in the past. Its life force was probably terrifyingly rich. Fang Ping looked at True Lord Earth Executioner. True Lord Earth Executioner was reluctant, but he still gritted his teeth. He imprisoned the two fat babies and threw them towards Fong Ping. Fong Ping reached out and caught them. The two fat babies' faces showed fear again. He did not know if it was an instinctive reaction or if they really knew something. Interesting. Fong Ping pinched the fat babies in his hands. They were very bouncy. Then he could not help but chuckle. They look quite interesting. How are we going to eat them? Ah! The two fat babies cried out in fear again. Fong Ping laughed. He thought for a while and asked, Sir's longevity spring, aren't you going to use it now? True Lord Earth Executioner's expression changed slightly. What did he mean? He was eyeing what was left of him. I have my own plans. Fong Ping nodded. According to his understanding, after using this kind of treasure with an extremely strong life force, true Lord Earth Executioner would definitely have some changes. For example, he would become younger, his life force would be stronger, and he would not be as old as he was now. However, the two emperor ranks were still here. This person probably still wanted to continue trying at the longevity spring to see if he could capture some. If this was seen through by others, he might not have a share of the longevity spring anymore. Some thoughts arose in Fong Ping's mind. If he was killed, would the remaining longevity spring explode from his life gate? For no reason, true Lord Earth Executioner felt a little uneasy. He glanced at Fong Ping, seeing that he was staring at the fat babies in his hands. True Lord Earth Executioner exhaled softly and did not speak. Meanwhile, Fong Ping was currently communicating with Heavenly Wood. These two babies, are they really the spring water? I didn't expect that the longevity spring would have such a change. Now that I think about it, the longevity spring has not erupted for many years. I'm afraid it has something to do with these little guys that have become spirits. They have absorbed the longevity spring's life force, turning the other spring water into ordinary spring water, whereas they have become spirits. I'm afraid the effect is even better than the spring water back then. Even Heavenly Wood was a little surprised. The longevity spring back then was not like this. Of course, after so many years, it was normal. Even the Skywood had gained sentience and cultivated into a demon. This spring water was in an environment rich in life force. It had to be known that life force was the easiest place for sentience to be born. The reason why the demon plants were able to condense their life essence was also related to this. It was understandable that the longevity spring water had become spirits. Heavenly Wood exclaimed, and said with some envy, the effect of one drop of this little thing is probably no worse than the effect of a true god or even an emperor rank spiritual crystal. It can also increase lifespan, strengthen the golden body, and purify the spiritual consciousness. It is indeed a rare treasure. Fong Ping sighed. It's a fat baby. It's not easy to eat. Don't you think I'm too kind? Heavenly Wood was speechless. You're kind? I can't tell. Fong Ping's expression did not change. He continued, it's a little interesting. It's not necessary to kill them and eat them. If I really eat them, my life force is too rich. It's not a good thing. Elder Moo, what do you think if I put my brain nucleus in the life gate and lock these two fatties in there to nourish my brain nucleus? Heavenly Wood had long guessed whose brain nucleus had been shattered. He had a rough idea in his heart. The so-called Friends series usually referred to himself. As expected, now that this king man had admitted it openly, although Heavenly Wood had some idea, he was still a little shocked. His brain nucleus had been shattered. He could still be so powerful after being shattered. How did this person do it? Or could it be that this king man was more powerful than imagined? He originally had the strength of an emperor rank or even stronger, but because of his injuries now he could only display the strength of a true god. It thought a lot, but Fong Ping was too lazy to say anything. When these two fatties came out from the life gate of Earth and Xing, Fong Ping had some plans. It did not matter to him whether he ate them or not to mention that they were not real lives. Even if they were, he would not be soft-hearted in order to heal them. But now maybe there was a better way. Fong Ping continued. Elder Moo, if I use life essence or imperishable substances to feed these two little fellows, do you think they can continuously provide me with the vitality I need to repair my brain nucleus? Life essence and imperishable substances could actually repair the brain nucleus, but their specialties were not the same. The speed of repair was terrifying. Moreover, the honing of imperishable substances could easily accelerate the speed of the brain nucleus's shattering. This fountain of longevity, on the other hand, gave Fong Ping the feeling that the vitality born was much purer, much gentler. I can try, but Heavenly Wood thought for a while and said, if you want to convert them into fountain of longevity, I'm afraid the consumption is not small. The consumption doesn't matter as long as it's useful. As Fong Ping said that, the doll in his hand disappeared. He kept it directly into the life gate. The brain nucleus was in between reality and illusion. Fong Ping did not care that Earth and Xing were here. He transferred the brain nucleus into the life gate. At this moment, in Fong Ping's life gate, in the dark space, a crystal-like brain nucleus floated in the air, like a cracked glass ball, looking even more beautiful. It was a pity that Fong Ping had no intention of admiring its beauty. The brain nucleus was already cracked like this. What was there to look good about? The life gate could not let living things enter, but now 2 chubby babies were floating and swimming freely in the dark space. Fong Ping did not give them the chance to run around. He opened up a small enclosed space in the life gate and threw the 2 chubby babies and the brain nucleus together. At this moment, the brain nucleus reacted the moment it came into contact with the 2 chubby babies. One of the cracks seemed to be healing slightly. Fong Ping saw it and was delighted. It was really useful. Fong Ping immediately took a look at his own data, frowning slightly. His wealth did not change. Were the 2 babies not valuable? Or was there danger? Wealth, 40 billion points vitality. 525,100 calories. 525,100 calories. Mentality, 10,999 hertz. 10,999 hertz. Can be cut. Origin, longitudinal 655 meters. Increased by 5%. Horizontal 3,100 meters. Increased by 31%. Combat techniques. God-slaying sword techniques plus 7%. Void-piercing swordsmanship plus 3%. Manic explosion blade plus 1%. Combat technique combination deduction. 1 million points / time energy shield. 1 point / minute plus aura simulation. 10 points / minute plus origin detailed analysis. 10-100 million points / time strength control. 80% limit outburst. 854,860 cal /1068580 Calfong. Ping stared at it for a while. Then his eyes suddenly flickered. The data in the column of his mentality began to fluctuate. This meant that his mentality was about to advance. This little one's advancement was about to reach 11,000 hertz. However, Fong Ping knew that although his mentality had only increased by a small margin, it meant that his brain nucleus could withstand such an advancement. Moreover, after his mentality became stronger, the width of his origin would increase to a certain extent. When tomorrow comes, my combat strength might be completely different from today. Fong Ping was a little excited. On top of the brain nucleus, the 2 babies appeared. The cracks were mending fast. It looked like there was hope that he could mend 1 crack a day. It's still too slow, too little. If there were a few hundred chubby babies, maybe I could mend dozens of cracks a day. If this goes on, do I still need to find treasures to mend my brain nucleus? Today there were still 350 cracks on his brain nucleus. Fong Ping did not know how many treasures he would need to use to mend them. However, most of the other treasures were one-time use. This ancient spring was not bad. If he snatched the 2 drops from earthly Xingtian, he could mend 2 cracks a day. He would try feeding the chubby babies later. maybe the effect would be better. Fang Ping secretly tried to inject some imperishable substance into the two chubby babies. The result did not satisfy him. The two babies did not seem to like it and spat it out. Fang Ping saw that in the gate of life, the two babies looked disgusted and vomited. He was speechless. They were even disgusted. However, it seemed like they would not be tortured to death so easily. Fang Ping thought for a while and began to input randomly. When he injected vitality, the two babies were vomiting too. When he injected mentality, Fang Ping was overjoyed after eating a little. Then, Fang Ping injected a little more origin chi. This was great. The two babies actually ate it with relish. Interesting. Physical divine power and origin chi at first. Fang Ping thought that these two were related to vitality. They should like to eat vitality. Now it was actually physical divine power and origin chi. Was it because these two types of energy were more illusory? Or if they wanted to evolve into a real monster, they needed these things? When he injected some origin chi into them, the life aura coming from the two chubby babies became even more intense. The crack on the brain also began to heal at a faster pace. Fang Ping's heart skipped a beat. Soon, he felt that he would be able to mend a crack soon. His mentality could probably be increased to 11,000 hertz. Tonight, I'll spend some time and some origin chi to start broadening the path of origin. Fang Ping had a plan. He did not talk much with earthly Xingtian. Very soon, he left earthly Xingtian's mansion and flew straight into earthly Xingtian's mansion. He found a secret room and started his closed-door cultivation. The sky turned dark. Fang Ping's first day in the cult ended in chaos. He was in closed-door cultivation. Earthly Xingtian thought that his son was stabilizing his realm and did not disturb him. This night was exceptionally long. Fang Ping's closed-door cultivation place was calm and peaceful. In reality, Fang Ping had spent a lot of origin chi that night. He had made the shadows work overtime to broaden the path of origin. Fang Ping was also very busy. On one hand, he had to broaden it. On the other hand, he had to walk longer. He also had to feed the two chubby babies so that they could speed up the repair of the brain. The sky was bright. The sun that the immortal source had transformed into was also shining on this small world. The three realms were originally covered by the immortal source. The celestial realm was also a part of the three realms. The immortal source still shone here, except for the human realm. It was just a short night. The second day, the moment Fang Ping walked out of the closed-door cultivation place, his eyes were shining. There was a huge difference from the day before. Very soon, Fang Ping put away everything. This made Yun He, who was waiting outside the secret room, think that his eyes were playing tricks on him. Fang Ping was not in the mood to pay attention to him. Tonight he had gained a lot. Under the situation where he kept feeding the two babies, the two cracks in the brain had actually repaired much faster than expected. Last night his mentality had officially advanced to 11,000 hertz. At this moment, Fang Ping's strength had increased once again. Wealth, 39. 9 billion points vitality. 526,000 calories. 526,000 calories. Mentality, 11,099 hertz. 11,099 hertz can be cut. Origin, vertical 660 meters, increase 66%. Horizontal 3,300 meters, increase 33%. Combat techniques, God-slaying saber techniques, plus 7%. Combat techniques combination deduction, 1 million points / time strength control, 80% ultimate outburst, 866,700 cal / 108356 Colleen just one night. Fang Ping's ultimate outburst vitality had increased by more than 10,000 cal. For the current Fang Ping, more than 10,000 cal might not seem like much, but this was just one night. If he could do this every day, he would surpass the emperor rank in no time. Fang Ping exhaled softly. It was time to go to the Earth King's hall. He had to take away all the evil sect's benefits. After receiving the benefits, killing the enemy, and repairing the brain, this time coming to the evil sect was really not in vain. Fong Ping felt more and more that he had come to the right place. This was a real treasure land. He had not even gone to Enlightened Cliff. Perhaps there were still benefits. He must not expose his identity now. Chapter 1101. Earth King Hall. If there were 3 great treasured lands in the Divine Court, then there was only one dangerous land, the Kuan King Hall, the most dangerous place. This was the cultivation ground of King Kuan. It was also the core of the Divine Court. When King Kuan was still around, King Kuan presided over the King Kuan Palace. Other than that, the 3 great cult protectors were right outside the King Kuan Palace. Near the Divine Court Palace, there were also tens of thousands of Divine Court Army. The Divine Court Army wasn't composed of just one peerless genius. An earthly elite was the chief commander, and beneath him, there were many extremity experts in the Divine Court Army. But this time, King Kuan had brought the others away, which was why there was now a gap. Today, the Earth King Palace was much less dangerous than usual, but it was still a dangerous place. When Fong Ping flew over, a confrontation was taking place in the Earth King Palace, outside the palace on the huge city wall. At this moment, tens of thousands of Divine Court soldiers were ready to fight. This was the only Divine Court army that no one had come to subdue, because this was King Kuan's personal army. At this moment, Taoist Fengyun and the others had also arrived. The one facing the Divine Court army was Sovereign Lightning. On the city walls, hundreds of rank 9 powerhouses were brimming with killing intent. Their faces showed that they were ready to die. Retreat! No one is allowed to enter without the sect leader's order. Retreat! Retreat! The 10,000-strong army roared loudly, their killing intent soaring to the heavens. It was one thing in the past, but when Sovereign Thunderbolt and the others came, no one stopped them. However, once Earthly Hero died and the other tribes were subdued, everyone knew what this divine master and protector was thinking. At this time, a half-step true god expert barked out, "Sect Leader Hall, no one is allowed to enter. Thunder, wind, cloud, are you all rebelling?" Calling him by his name, a half-step true god scolded 2 venerable emperors. How audacious! However, in the past 8,000 years, how could King Kuan not have any direct descendants? There were quite a number of true gods, but most of them had been taken away. Even so, earthly talent and near emperor-level expert was still a direct descendant of his. The experts guarding the Earth King Hall were naturally the same. Thunder's face turned ugly, and he said coldly, "Rebellion? When did you have the right to scold venerable sovereigns and true gods? If you don't retreat, don't blame us for being merciless." Impudent! The half-step true god was enraged and shouted, "This is Cult Master's Bottomanda, who dares to barge in!" Thunder! What right do you have to order the Divine Court army to retreat? How dare you barge into the sect leader's Bottomanda? You deserve to die 10,000 times for your crimes. After that, he roared, "If you retreat now, there's still room for us to turn this around. If you really barge into the Cult Master's Bottomanda, and he returns, all of you will die. Earthly oddity, earthly darkness, do you really want to die?" Everyone was silent. Thunder said coldly again, "Get out of the way. This is the consensus of the 100 Deities Hall." Ridiculous! The commander was enraged. 100 deities aren't here, so who can discuss this matter? Open the Earth King Hall, and these protectors and deities would rebel. Even if he couldn't win, he wouldn't give way. Divine Court Army, we will not retreat. The Divine Court Army will not retreat. 10,000 people shouted in unison. At this moment, the combined strength of 10,000 people shook the heaven and earth. Vaguely, the half-step true god in the lead seemed to be on the verge of breaking through. Seeing this, Thunder's expression changed slightly, another true god who was going to break through in battle. They saw Yun Xing's breakthrough yesterday. His combat strength was so strong that even earthly deity might not be a match for him. Now, once this person broke through and became a true god, he would lead the divine court army of 10,000 people. Even if he couldn't fight the Thearchs, he would still cause chaos. Thunder ignored him and turned to look at Feng Yin, sending a voice transmission. Feng Yin, what do you say now that things have come to this? Taoist Feng Yin was silent for a moment, then said with pity, now that things have come to this, these people don't know the gravity of the situation and are stubborn. Now that the divine court army is in danger, they're still defending the Earth King Hall. Sai, let's do it. Taoist Feng Yin looked slightly sad. He looked at the others again and sent a voice transmission. Let's do it together. If we delay any longer, there will be endless trouble in the future. Everyone looked at each other and nodded their heads in agreement. If they were going to attack, then they would attack together. When Venerable Thunder heard what he said, he already disliked that guy. Without a word, he broke through the void with a palm, and his palm instantly appeared above the other's head. Merge. That person also knew that these people were coming fiercely, and he was prepared. In an instant, the rank nines in all directions roared, and their energy merged into heaven and earth. As for this person, his aura also increased explosively, shattering the void in the blink of an eye, revealing the strength of a true god. Combined attack method. Bang! This person wielded a saber and slashed the palm that appeared in the void a little, but he was unable to shatter it. Thunder snorted coldly. They were not weak. After the combined attack, they were actually not weaker than ordinary rank 3 or rank 3 true god martial artists. From this, it could be seen that the divine court army was indeed powerful. But at this moment, was rank 3 or rank 3 true gods useful? In the next moment, Taoist Feng Yin said with pity, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We are also doing this for the future of the divine court. Since that is the case, let us make a trip to the wind burial ground. Behind him, densely packed coffins appeared. He called himself the corpse collector. At this moment, close to 1,000 coffins suddenly appeared behind him. He only collected the corpses of rank 8 powerhouses and above. These were the powerhouses that he recognized. And here, there were thousands of rank 8 and rank 9 powerhouses. Once the coffins appeared, Taoist Feng Yin sighed and said, powerhouses have been lonely since ancient times, and only Feng Yin left their names. Everyone come on in. At this moment, there was a sudden scream from the crowd. Dozens of rank 8 powerhouses were attracted by the coffins, and energy exploded in an instant. Some of their bodies exploded directly, turning into a mass of flesh and blood that was instantly sucked away by the invisible coffins. There was a loud boom. The coffins returned to their positions, revealing a demonic, bloody glow. Fang Ping's expression changed slightly. Taoist Feng Yin's coffins were actually absorbing real flesh and blood. He had thought that it was just an act. At this moment, they also attacked. The divine court army's strength depended on when 2 venerable emperors and 8 true gods. These people could not possibly be a match for them. Fang Ping slammed his palm down, and the hundreds of powerhouses in front of him were smashed to pieces. True, Lord Di Fei was beside him. Seeing this, he frowned slightly and sent a voice transmission. Don't stand out anymore. Enough is enough. Fang Ping nodded and also sent a voice transmission. If we don't attack now, the 2 venerable emperors will not let this go. Di Fei agreed. Since everyone had attacked, including the venerable emperors, it was obvious that they were going to take the blame together. They had to attack now. As the 2 of them spoke, the commander roared in despair, You bastards! You will all die sooner or later. The sect leader will not let you go when he returns. Divine Court Army, attack! Attack! Tens of thousands of people roared. At this moment, several figures condensed in the air again. A few rank 9 powerhouses leaped into the air, their auras surging. Even if they had not reached true God level, they had already surpassed the limit of rank 9. Divine Court Army is invincible. King Kuin is invincible. As long as the Divine Court Army is not destroyed, we will not be destroyed. Fight to the death. The group of people roared, completely crazy. Without any hesitation, they all charged toward Fong Ping and the others. Boom! The powerhouses fought. The aftermath spread, and the sky and earth roared. Di Chi and the others attacked one after another. Someone as strong as Di Chi slammed his palm down. Even if his opponent had surpassed the limit of rank 9, he would still be smashed to pieces. As soon as they died, the powerhouses who provided them with power also vomited blood and exploded. There were countless casualties. Screams followed. Even if these people were not afraid of death, the pain from the explosion was unbearable. Rumble. Outside the King Kuin Palace, blood flowed like a river. At this moment, the entire God City was extremely quiet. Only the screams here did not stop. Countless people were trembling with fear and unease. The sky had changed. They were slaughtering the Divine Court Army guarding the King Kuin Palace. They were rebelling. They were really rebelling. This was King Kuin's direct army. But today, countless of them were slaughtered. Who in the entire God City would not be afraid? The sound of fighting continued. Although it was called a fight, it was just a useless struggle. 2 emperors and 8 true gods. These people were not qualified to die with them. In the next moment, an angry roar came from the entire God City. Thunder, wind, and cloud. You all betrayed the Divine Court. I will wait for you all to die together. Boom! The deafening roar shook the entire God City. The ancient city was once again dyed in blood today. The half-step true God-level commander had self-destructed. He knew he was no match for them, but he still chose to fight, chose to self-destruct, and chose to use his greatest strength to injure the enemy. In front of the King Kuin Palace, Venerable Thunder's expression was ugly. A bloody mark appeared on his palm, and golden blood dripped down. The other party had self-destructed. Even if the other party was not a true god, he had the strength of a true god. His self-destruction was not as powerful as a true god's, but it still broke through his body and injured his palm, causing blood to flow. How embarrassing! He was an emperor level, but he was injured by a rank 9 martial artist. The difference between them was like heaven and earth. Even so, he was injured. This made him extremely angry. The furious, venerable Thunder attacked, even more fiercely. A giant palm covered the sky, and when it slammed down, hundreds and thousands of people died. The mentality suppression was also merciless, crushing thousands of people. Taoist wind and cloud kept collecting the corpses, while Ground Oddity and the others killed the Divine Court Army. After a while, it was quiet. The world was silent. On and below the city walls, blood and flesh were everywhere. Red blood dyed the city walls red. The roars of powerhouses before their deaths were still echoing nearby. Tens of thousands of Divine Court Army soldiers made a final charge, but in the end, they were all slaughtered without any results. Idiots! Venerable Thunder snorted softly. They had a death wish. Fong Ping glanced at the city walls covered in blood and flesh, his expression cold. No matter how brave the enemy was, he would not admire them. It was good that they died. The evil sect had always wanted to develop on Earth. If it were not for Heavenly King Zhen's secret suppression, who knew what would happen now? Even so, the evil sect had also caused many murders. Previously, under the leadership of King Kuin, the evil sect had even sent dozens of true gods to besiege the human powerhouses. If it were not for Moon Spirit leading the people of Mount Wangu to attack crazily, who knew if they could have escaped last time? Fong Ping had no sympathy for the evil sections. Even if these tens of thousands of Divine Court Army soldiers did not die, they were comparable to 1 or even 2 desperation powerhouses. It might seem easy to be slaughtered now, but that was because there were too many powerhouses. If these people came to Earth one day, who knew how many more people would die? And if the evil sect came to Earth, the probability was very high. Fong Ping was cold, and the others were also silent. Soon Taoist Wind and Cloud put away the coffins and said with a smile, "Let's go!" The Earth King Palace was no longer obstructed. Of course, it was the people who obstructed them. The array was still there. Fong Ping and the others leaped into the air and left, flying toward the palace not far away. Just as they left, on the city walls and on the ground, the flesh and blood wriggled slightly. So many powerhouses had died. Their flesh and blood were full of energy. At this moment, this energy was dissipating. When powerhouses died, their energy would return to heaven and earth and dissipate. However, at this moment, the speed of dissipation was slightly faster. Fong Ping and the others did not have X-ray vision, and their mentality could not penetrate too deep under the God City. This ancient city had also been explored countless times. Even under the ground, these years, there were people constantly opening up and exploring. It was said that during the period when the land was first opened up, the remains of some ancient powerhouses could often be found. However, these years they had long disappeared. When Fong Ping came to the God City for the first time, Di Fei said that they might find living people underground, living ancient powerhouses, but it was just a joke. However, at this moment, below the city walls, 100 meters, 1,000 meters, 10,000 meters, it spread all the way to an extremely deep place. Under the God City, there was a special kind of soil, like diamond, extremely solid. However, at this moment, 10,000 meters underground, in the midst of countless diamond, there seemed to be a piece of amber wrapped around it. Inside the amber, a golden skeleton was wrapped inside. The skeleton did not have any energy fluctuations, as if it had died a long time ago. However, at this moment, suddenly, traces of blood surrounded the amber, dyeing the transparent amber red. The golden skeleton moved slightly, once again returning to silence. "Fight!" A voice so weak that it was almost inaudible came from the amber, dissipating in the blink of an eye. Outside the Earth King Hall, Fong Ping finally saw the true face of the Earth King Hall. It was incomparably huge. A hall that looked like it was forged from bronze took up a huge area. The huge bronze door exuded a wisp of extremely dangerous aura. Di Fei was worried that Fong Ping did not understand and acted rashly. At this moment, he hurriedly explained, "Don't move recklessly. The Earth King Hall is protected by a large formation. It's extremely dangerous. Even an emperor-level powerhouse might die." Before this, they did not know, but last time Venerable Thunderbolt caused quite a commotion, causing the formation to explode and killing many divine court soldiers. Now, everyone knew that there was a 5 heavens formation here. With that, Di Fei continued, "It's not just the great array that the sect leaders set up. This hall itself has some defensive arrays that are also extremely powerful. In the past, it was said that this place was the residence of an expert who lived in seclusion in the heaven realm." Before he finished, Taoist Feng Yin said with a faint smile, "It's not a rumor, it's a fact. Di Fei, you're not from that era, you won't understand. In the past, the Divine City had been the secluded residence of a powerhouse. Perhaps it wasn't appropriate to call it seclusion. This person made some mistakes in the past and was punished by the Emperor to guard the spring of longevity here. He was called the Spring Guardian. After the heavenly realm was destroyed, the guardian of the spring fell. However, the God City and the eternal spring were left behind. Things remain the same, but people have changed." Fong Ping was surprised. Feng Yin was an ancient venerable emperor? No way. The so-called ancient venerable emperors referred to the venerable emperors before the destruction of the heaven realm. No, before the start of the Immortal Origin Project. They had participated in the Heavenly Court's Emperor Conference back then, so they were called ancient venerable emperors. He was a venerable sovereign who had seen Zhan Tian pointing arrows at the emperors. He was an ancient venerable sovereign. These people were generally more than 10,000 years old. Was Autark Windcloud the same? Fong Ping was puzzled. Di Fei and the rest were also puzzled. They actually did not know much about the 8 great protectors. These people were very mysterious, except for Thunder. Because this fellow had always been guarding the heavenly court, he was the most exposed. Like Taoist Fengyan, other than leaving behind the Heavenly Questions Tower, it was rare for him to return once in a few thousand years. Everyone did not know much about him. At this moment, hearing this, Di Fei was also a little surprised. Sir is an ancient, venerable emperor. That's not it. Taoist Fengyan smiled faintly. It's just that I've lived a little longer. In the past, I had yet to prove my Tao. After the start of the Immortal Origin Project, I only proved my Tao as a true god. However, I've experienced some things. This place was also a little famous back then. Although the Eternal Spring was not important back then, it was also a treasure land for us. I was fortunate enough to come here once and met the Spring Guardian. Fong Ping continued. Made a mistake? What mistake did he make that he would be sent to guard the Eternal Spring? Someone who could be personally punished by the Emperor was not an ordinary person. Fong Ping felt that the other party's strength was definitely not weak. Of course, this was nonsense. King Kuen had occupied this basilica for so many years. It was obviously a good thing. If he was weak, would King Kuen take a fancy to the basilica that the other party lived in? I don't know much about what kind of mistake he made. However, I heard that it was related to Emperor Sky and Emperor Sky. As for the specifics, I'm not too sure. This person's strength was extremely strong back then. He was also a saint powerhouse and might have even entered the Heavenly King realm. However, he still died in that great chaos. After a few words of lament, Thunder knew these secrets and was not too interested. He said, Everyone, there's a 5-layered sky formation here. It's not easy to open it. As long as it touches the basilica, it will explode very quickly. Fengyan, do you have a way to open it? Taoist Fengyan took a look, thought for a while, and said, Retreat. Everyone hurriedly retreated. Taoist Fengyan hit the door, casually. The door rippled. In the next moment, a wind blade appeared near Taoist Fengyan. Taoist Fengyan destroyed it casually, saying slowly, It's not that the 5-layered sky formation will explode all the time. It's related to the strength of the attack. This was also a type of formation that was commonly seen back then. Today, some of the grotto heavens and blessed lands set up this formation outside. Fong Ping pondered. No wonder it felt a little familiar. Yes, this was how the formations in the bounded boundaries worked. The stronger one's attack, the stronger the counterattack. These were all defensive types. Even if one did not attack, they would not cause any harm to one. How do we break it, then? Thunder asked. He did not know as much about this as Fengyan. At this moment, he also wanted to try breaking the formation quickly. Wait. Taoist Fengyan was not in a hurry to speak. A mirror appeared in his hand. Heaven Inquiring Treasure Mirror. This was also a replica of the Heaven Inquiring Mirror. At this moment, Taoist Fengyan held the treasure mirror in his hand. With a low shout, the treasure mirror emitted a dim light, illuminating the basilica. Rumble. At this moment, a dazzling light erupted outside the basilica. Taoist Fengyan disappeared instantly. In the next moment, the void where he was at shattered. The 4-layered sky formation shattered. Taoist Fengyan appeared hundreds of meters away. With a slightly solemn expression, he said, What a sharp formation! My Heaven Inquiring Tao is incomparably obscure. I can't believe it has also been detected. As he said that, Taoist Fengyan still picked up the treasure mirror and took a look. He raised his eyebrows slightly. It's not impossible. Thunder, the formation at the door, is the strongest. You and I will break it here. As for the others, I will give you some weak points in the formation eyes. Attack the formation together and try to break it. Sir, true Lord Earthly Shing could not help but say, This is a 5-layered sky formation. If we are affected, it's fine. Taoist Fengyan said lightly, the door is the core formation I. Thunder, and I will break the formation here. Perhaps a 5-layered sky formation will erupt here. At other places, at most, a 3-layered or 4-layered sky formation will erupt. A 4-layered sky formation is a little dangerous, but ground oddity and ground darkness can withstand it. Both of you will break the formation at the left and right sides. As for the others, at other formation eyes, a 3-layered sky formation will erupt at most. It won't affect you too much. A 3-layered sky formation's explosive force was about 600,000 calories vitality. It would not cause too much damage to Fangping and the others. Of course, if they were attacked, it was still possible for them to be injured. However, no one knew if what Fengyan said was true or not. They were all a little hesitant. Taoist Fengyan was a little helpless. We've already come this far. We've already killed them. Is there still room for regret? Thunder and I are in more danger. Besides, we still don't know what's inside. We still have to face the powerhouses of the 3 realms. I won't lie to you. Everyone glanced at each other and no longer refused. Very soon, Taoist Fengyan circled the basilica, giving out many weak points. In between, the formation bombardment erupted many times. This fellow used the treasured mirror to shine. The effect was especially good. Even Fangping was tempted. This treasured mirror was a treasure. Although it was not a divine weapon, it felt quite useful. If he had the chance, perhaps he should get his hands on it. After more than half an hour of work, Fangping was also assigned to a weak point. This was the back of the basilica. The formation here was said to be the weakest. It was also suitable for weaklings, such as Fangping, Earthly Xing, Earthly Gu. These 3 people were all at the back of the basilica. In front of the basilica were 2 emperor-level powerhouses. On both sides were ground oddity, ground darkness, and the others. At this moment, Taoist Fengyan's voice rang in everyone's ears. Everyone attack together later. Don't act rashly. Listen to my command. Otherwise, if you're not careful, it'll be easy to get into trouble. Once I and Thunder stop, you must not attack the formation. Otherwise, the formation will explode. That'll be a 5th-layered heavens array. He and Thunder helped everyone share the greatest burden. If they attacked together, that would be fine. Once they stopped and the others were still attacking, exploding the 5th-layered heavens array, other than the 2 emperor-level powerhouses, the others would die. Fangping's eyes flickered. He said quickly, "Sir, it won't explode completely, right? If that's the case, Yunqing will have to consider whether or not to break the formation. If the others make a mistake, won't they implicate us?" Everyone was also worried about this problem. If you make a mistake, it's fine if you die, but don't implicate us. It won't, unless the Emperor level forcefully breaks the formation. Then it will cause a full-scale explosion. At other times, it will explode wherever we attack. Fangping heard that and breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Everyone was speechless. Be careful of yourself. Everyone should be afraid of being implicated by this fellow. After all, he had just advanced. He was not proficient in controlling his strength. Unexpectedly, he breathed a sigh of relief before the others could relax. Di Fei on the left was also helpless. He said telepathically, "Be careful. After all, I and the others have advanced for many years. We won't make such a mistake. You've just become a true god. You must be careful." Fangping said telepathically, "Don't worry, father. Nothing will happen. Who will get into trouble? I won't. I'm prepared to let something happen to all of you." At this moment, the 10 powerhouses were spread out in all directions. Fangping glanced at Di Gu and Di Xing on his side. These 2 weaklings might not even be as strong as him. There was no need to bother with them. Next to him, separated by the wall, was true Lord Dijun. He was also Venerable Emperor Thunder's subordinate, the last person among the 10. In front of Dijun was Diping. In front of Di Ping was true Lord Dark Earth. On this side of the wall were also 3 people. Di Fei and Di Qi were on the other side. Fang Ping had his eyes on Di Jun now. If he could not stop in time, the 5th-layered heavens array would explode. Those below Emperor level would definitely die unless they had special means to escape. Can't stop in time. Your origin, Dao, was suddenly cut by someone. Can you stop? Fang Ping snickered in his heart. If this happened suddenly, even Emperor level would be in danger, let alone this fellow. All right, it's you. You die first. The array had not been broken. He would take a few people as sacrifices first. Di Jun is the first. I have to get rid of another one. If there are more, I'm afraid there will be a risk of being exposed. Keep the weaklings. Dark Earth and Di Qi. Di Qi is still useful. Second, true Lord Dark Earth. Fang Ping had a plan in mind. He made some arrangements for them. 2 deaths were more or less enough. Chapter 1102. There are probably still a few more days, so I have to say that I'm updating very seriously. Brothers, please understand. Global High Martial Arts really needs to be explained again. This single chapter will not be deleted. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1103. Attack with all you've got. A low roar reverberated in everyone's mind. Everyone erupted, bombarding the big array. Rumble. The big array erupted. The void was broken. A few nodes erupted into darkness, caused by space being sliced. Withdraw. Everyone withdrew their strength. At this moment, Fang Ping and the rest retreated hurriedly. Only 3 heavens were broken. 3 overlapping cracks sliced toward Fang Ping. Fang Ping took a few steps back. With a roar, he punched out. Energy blasted into the cracks, causing them to collapse. Other places were also erupting with similar cracks. The main hall's door was the most intense. Venerable Thunder Emperor and Taoist Wind Cloud roared loudly. A 5-layered heavens formation. Even an emperor rank would face the danger of dying. Fortunately, both of them were working together. After a while, Fang Ping and the rest used their mentality to spy that the cracks had dissipated. Both emperor ranks had many wounds on their bodies. Clearly, it was difficult for them to resist the 5-layered heavens formation. Continue. What we need to do now is to gradually wear down the power of the big array. We can't let the big array stay at its peak. Everyone understood what he meant. At this moment, they were much more relieved. Even Ground Oddity only erupted with 3 formations, which was even more reassuring. Everyone was still confident that they could defeat the 3 formations. Continue to attack. Taoist Wind Cloud spoke again. Fang Ping attacked again, hitting the wall in front, stirring up a wave. That was where the big array was. Rumble. The big array erupted again. Stop! Everyone stopped and continued to wear down the explosive power of the big array. It was still considered easy. Although the 3 formations were not weak, the weakest here had a vitality limit of more than 1,000,000 cal. They could still resist against the 3 formations. On Fang Ping's side, Di Gu and Di Xing were secretly relieved. Both of them were looking forward to it. What was in the main hall? They did not want treasures that were too good. However, treasures that were not very useful to emperor ranks could still be fought for. The 2 venerable emperors wanted to become saints and heavenly kings. They wanted to become emperors. There was not much conflict between them. The premise was that they did not snatch those treasures that tempted even venerable emperors. Once, twice, everyone was gradually getting used to it. They relaxed a little and were not as tense as before. To say that this formation was hard to break seemed to be just that. Of course, everyone was more or less injured. The 5 formations were very strong. The 2 emperors were now pale. Fang Ping and the others had also expended a lot of energy. Fang Ping purposely inflicted some injuries on himself. In reality, his golden body was so strong that the 3 great array could not hurt him at all. unless it was the quadruple sky formation. If that happened, Fong Ping would be in danger of dying. At this moment, Fong Ping was starting to feel suffocated. True, Lord Dijuan. This person's strength was not bad, about the same as Di Ping. Right now, this person was injured as well. However, his injuries were not serious. At this moment, a look of anticipation could be seen on his face. He was the subordinate of the Thunder Overlord. If there were any benefits to be gained from entering the Grand Hall, it would be hard to say for others, but he would definitely be able to obtain them. If it was useless to overlords, venerable sovereigns would give it to him. True Monarch Dark Earth was the same. Taoist Fengyan was here. At this moment, Taoist Fengyan shouted again, "Attack!" Everyone made their moves. Now that they were familiar with it, everyone was less worried. Dijuan also made his move, waiting for Taoist Fengyan's next order. But at this moment, Dijuan suddenly felt uneasy, a sense of crisis. Crisis. Dijuan stared at the array in front of him. Would the quadruple sky formation erupt this time? If that was the case, he had to be careful. He had to avoid it quickly and not get involved. As he stared, he suddenly felt a stabbing pain in his heart. What's wrong? Crisis, the crisis of dying. Dijuan's expression changed drastically. And at this moment, Taoist Fengyan's voice came. Withdraw. Withdraw. He wanted to withdraw, but at this moment, he suddenly lost control of his strength. Origin Great Tao. Something had happened to his Origin Great Tao. Someone had broken into the Origin Great Tao. No, it was impossible. Who could break into a true god's Origin Great Tao? Not even an overlord. Losing control of his strength was usually not a problem. But at this moment there was no room for negligence or mistakes. Everyone else had stopped. Fong Ping stopped too. Fong Ping slashed once and ran away. At this moment he quickly responded to the triple sky formation erupting. But not far away, Dijuan could not do it. His Origin Great Tao had been severed. At this moment his strength was out of control. No. He roared madly in his heart. Dijuan's pupils contracted. It had erupted. Not the triple sky formation, but the fivefold sky formation. At this moment, everyone was dealing with the eruption of the large formation. No one had noticed the abnormality on his side. However, in the next moment, everyone noticed. No, there's rumble. The heavens fell, and the earth cracked. He was not a venerable emperor. Even a venerable emperor would have to join forces to deal with a vitality damage of more than 2 per million calories. He was a true god martial artist, not even the top kind. How could he resist? The 5 layers of superimposed broken space almost instantly sucked him in. Creak! The sound of the golden body being crushed was heard. In the dark, broken space, Dijuan's mentality flashed and was destroyed in the blink of an eye, vanishing completely. The broken space dissipated, and Dijuan was dead. Rumble. In the sky, a great Tao collapsed and blood clouds appeared. Everyone was stunned. Dijuan was dead? A mistake? Taoist Fengyan and Thunder Venerable Emperor were also shocked. Soon, Thunder Venerable Emperor was furious. Dead. Dijuan was his man. He died just like that? There was almost no sound. A true god powerhouse died just like that? Bastard. Fengyan, didn't you say you were fine? Thunder. Taoist Fengyan was also speechless. He said somewhat sullenly, Dijuan made a mistake. You saw it a few times before. I found a weak point without a problem. Dijuan just lost control. Bastard. Thunder Venerable Emperor cursed again. No one knew whether he was cursing Taoist Fengyan or Dijuan. He made a mistake. This mistake could cost him his life. This idiot died just like that. Although he was a venerable emperor, he could not crush a true god. He could fight one-on-one. 3 true gods could stop him. 5 true gods could force him to retreat. If there were too many, he would also be in danger of dying. With one more real god under his command, he would be more confident and more confident. Great, now he was dead. The others were also terrified. Di Chi could not help saying, Guardian Feng, isn't this too dangerous? Is there any other way to break the formation? He was afraid. Not only him, but the others were also afraid. A true god had died just like that. It was too humiliating. When the rabbit dies, the fox grieves. They would rather die in battle than be killed, just like that. Not even a ripple was created. Taoist Fingyun's face was also solemn. He said in a low voice, "This is the simplest and safest. Everyone, be careful, be careful." He repeated and said solemnly, "You must not make any mistakes. I told you to hold back, then hold back. Do not leave any power behind. Everyone did well the previous few times, but you actually slacked off. This is a matter of life and death. You." He was also extremely helpless. This was a matter of life and death. Why did these bastards not take it seriously? Di Jun died just like that. He was also aggrieved. With Di Jun's death, it will take longer to break the formation. The number of attacks will increase, and the danger will be greater. With one less person to share the pressure, the four heavens formation may break. Di Chi, Dian, be careful. Everyone was helpless. At this moment, they could not give up, right? Although everyone was worried about Di Jun's death, they could only be more cautious at this time. In the fake sky grave, King Kuin felt like he was going crazy. Damn it. Damn it. Another one died. Yan Ji died. Di Jia died. Di Man died. All right, these people were all his people or Yan Ji's people. Yesterday, Yan Ji's people were wiped out. Today, the formation he left behind was attacked, but he did not care. After all, it was a five heavens formation, and it was not so easy to break. Moreover, there were many dangers in the Kuin Palace. But Di Jun was dead. How did he die? Was he killed by the formation? Was it so stupid? Breaking the formation without any confidence. Wasn't that courting death? He was so angry that he almost laughed. If they wanted to break the formation, then so be it. In the end, they went to break the formation without any confidence and were killed by the formation. If this was not stupid, then what was? True God. Even in ancient times, true gods were experts, the top kind. He died just like that. This time he did not lose his composure, but he was really speechless. What happened in the divine court? As he was thinking, King Kuin suddenly slapped Heavenly Kingjin. With a boom, the void exploded. At this moment, he no longer restrained himself. A black, seven-petal lotus exploded, and Heavenly Kingjin was sent flying hundreds of meters. Li Xuanxia. King Kuin was furious. Bastard, what was this guy doing? Heavenly Kingjin coughed up blood and said with a smile, "I saw that you were distracted, so I reminded you. Why do you have to do this to me?" Shameless. King Kuin cursed. This guy was about to kill the true gods under him again. Fortunately, he reacted in time. He actually casually said that he was reminding him. Heavenly King Jin smiled faintly and said, "I was really reminding you to hurry up. I didn't expect that there would be a seven heavens chain array here. There must be a treasure inside. The seven heavens chain array is even more difficult than the heaven sealing earth locking array that was set up in the 108 realms. With such a big deal, I would believe it if you said that there was an imperial path source law inside." Heavenly King Jin sighed and said, "We're rich. An imperial path source law is not very useful as long as the emperor is alive. If he dies, we will have someone become an emperor." King Kuin almost spat him to death. Who are you trying to fool? All right. He was also looking forward to it. The seven heavens chain array was 100% the work of the spirit emperor. If it was a seven heavens chain array, there were experts below the emperor realm who could do it. However, a seven heavens chain array could not be done unless it was at the emperor realm. It was so tight. Could it be that the spirit emperor's source law was inside? King Kuin ignored him. This shameless old man, he had to be more careful. This guy might have reached the level of breaking 7, now that he was pretending to be at the peak of breaking 6. Would this king believe him? Just as he calmed down, in the next moment, King Kuan was completely enraged. King Wu, bastard, do you really think that this king doesn't dare to kill you? Third Protector, this place doesn't need you. Go and kill King Wu. Go and kill the humans. He was really going crazy. Just now, a true god that he had brought in was killed. King Wu. At this moment, the true gods of his sect had really fallen like rain. A few in a day. If this went on, even if the 72 divine lords were alive, they would not be able to survive for a month. 8,000 years of accumulation. Was it going to be used up at this time? This was the foundation for his future conquest of the 3 realms. Damn it. King Kuan was about to go crazy. He felt that he was going to be driven crazy by these B** stars. The others had strange looks in their eyes. This, another true god, had died? All right, they would soon see it. The sky had collapsed. Everyone shook their heads, slightly. This bad luck. Recently, the people of the sect had really died quickly. Moreover, looking at King Kuan's appearance, the outside world was also dying. Who had he offended? The people inside knew that it was the doing of the humans, but the outside world really didn't know who did it. King Kuan, don't stand on ceremony. Third Protector, come. I just wanted to kill a saint to practice. Haha, come. At this moment, Zhang Tao was also extremely arrogant. He condensed an incomparably huge phantom in the distance, covering the sky and earth as he provoked loudly. Come here. Zhang Tao laughed loudly and provoked the 3 protectors. King Kuan's face was ashen. Too arrogant. They had killed his people, but they didn't escape and still dared to be so arrogant. Men, chase him. Kill the other human true gods. Don't let a single one of them go. Yes. Everyone responded. The true gods had long been afraid and wanted to escape. However, without King Kuan's orders, they didn't dare to leave. Now, it was better to chase after humans than to stay here and wait for death. Look, Heavenly King Zhen was eyeing them covetously, ready to kill them at any time. Moon Spirit, that lunatic and Heaven's Pole, looked at them and laughed strangely. Everyone's hearts turned cold. They were afraid that if King Kuan wasn't careful, he would lose a few of his subordinates. Now, it was as if they had been granted amnesty. Even if it was against King Wu, they didn't want to stay here anymore. Too terrifying. These people ran very quickly. Heavenly King Zhen said regretfully, "Don't go, it's very dangerous over there. Zhang Tao has fused the 6 paths and might have become a heavenly king. It's very dangerous for you guys to go. Don't go." As soon as this was said, everyone ran even faster. This shameless old man, he didn't want to kill enough. King Kuan's expression was ugly. Heavenly King Zhen said regretfully, "I'm telling the truth. Hong Kuan will protect you here. If you leave now, it's too dangerous. The sect will be destroyed." Everyone. At this moment, even Moon's Spirit and Heaven's Pole, who were barely on his side, wanted to scold him for being shameless. We're both lunatics. It's fine if we're shameless. There's always a higher mountain. We're not as good as you. The others were also speechless. On the other side, Zhang Tao covered the void and laughed. There's no such thing. Come to me. I didn't fuse the 6 paths. The 6 paths have collapsed. I'm not a heavenly king. It's fine. Come quickly. It's too dangerous over there. Look, how many heavenly kings are there? Come here and take refuge. Kill him. King Kuan roared. Heavenly kings like them couldn't leave now. Moreover, they were afraid that if they left, the array would be broken and the benefits would be taken away. But he really couldn't hold it in any more. He wanted to kill these bastards. Heavenly King Zhen, King Wu. These 2 bastards, he wanted to kill them. Fortunately, he didn't know that Fong Ping was the one who did what was happening outside. Otherwise, he could immediately give up everything and focus on killing these 3 bastards. He was really going crazy. Everyone also rushed toward King Wu. They were going crazy too. This was too much. Yes, come to me. In this heavenly tomb, I'm the most reliable. Zhang Tao laughed loudly. At the same time as the three great sect protectors broke through the air, he disappeared instantly, but his voice remained. Come to the space battlefield. There are too many heavenly kings here. Let's avoid it. It's dangerous. Your Highness Moon Spirit, lend me your people. I'll help you take revenge. Your man was killed by King Kuan. I'll take revenge for you. Moon Spirit's face was livid. She suddenly had an urge to kill King Wu. This guy's words were annoying. Even though she wanted to kill at this moment, Moon Spirit still wanted him to get lost. She shouted angrily, Green Lotus, go kill him! In the distance, Venerable Green Lotus did not say much after hearing this. She led a group of true gods and quickly chased after the space battlefield. At this moment, true gods from all directions appeared. Go kill King Wu. Previously, everyone was on the side of the Heaven Realm fragment. But now, there were heavenly kings fighting at every turn. It was too dangerous. King Wu's side was safer. Zhang Tao was right. Seeing that they were running fast, Heavenly King Jin shouted, Be careful! Someone seems to be reviving in the space battlefield. This place is connected to a huge space battlefield. If it's not a heavenly king, then it's a broken 8 supreme expert. Take it easy. If there's danger, run towards us. His tone was like a parent's. It was touching. If it was dangerous, then come back. Don't stay outside for long. It would have been fine if he didn't say it, but once he said it, everyone ran even faster. Crazy! That old fart, Heavenly King Jin, had let go of himself. In this world where there were no juniors below the peak, he did whatever he wanted, completely disregarding any dignity. King Kuan and the others were also furious. Just as they were angry, King Kuan suddenly went crazy. Rumble. The void exploded. King Kuan was not implicated this time. He held his breath and suddenly punched towards Heaven's pole and Moon Spirit. I can't hold it in any more. Earth Dark is dead. Damn it, he really can't hold it in any more. What was going on outside? Several people died in a day. If this continued, would there still be anyone left alive in the outside world? I want to go out. He really wanted to go out. If he didn't, his foundation would be gone. 8,000 years. How dare you bully me? Heaven's pole was furious. Moon Spirit also cursed angrily. How dare you take the initiative to attack me? Bullsh *T. King Kuan cursed angrily. It was one thing for him to be targeted by these two lunatics, but now that someone had died and he wanted to vent his anger, these two bastards actually said such words. Their attitude of, I can hit you, but you can't hit me, made him go crazy. How could this be? He felt a little wronged. Not only him, but the corners of the others' mouths also twitched. They suddenly felt that King Kuan was quite pitiful. He was bullied, but he could even be scolded when he fought back. In addition, there was also the Heavenly King Jin, who wanted to see the world in chaos. At this moment, the Heavenly King Jin was extremely excited. He roared, he wants to kill us one by one. Everyone, join forces to kill him. Breaking 7 has a chance of killing a Heavenly King. This guy might have hidden his strength and can break 8. Quickly kill him, kill. As soon as he said that, he quickly charged over. As soon as he said that, the other Heavenly King powerhouses looked at each other. They were a little tempted. Previously, when King Kuan broke 7, he did not seem to have used his full strength. Could he really break 8? If that was the case, they would have to make a move. Breaking 7 might not be able to kill a Heavenly King, at least not old Heavenly Kings like them. However, breaking 8, that was the domain of a supreme powerhouse. That was a realm that even the Heavenly Dog could not reach in the Heaven Realm. That was the strength of the Heavenly Dog when he fought the Heavenly Tomb. That was no joke. Everyone's eyes flickered. For a moment, a battle to kill King Kuan broke out in the Spirit Emperor's dojo. Chapter 1104. Kunwang Palace. The sky split open. The great Tao collapsed. Everyone was dumbfounded. At this moment, even Taoist Feng Yin could not say anything wrong. True Lord Dark Earth was a powerhouse under his command. Dead. Dead just like that? Who? Taoist Feng Yin roared. His aura shot into the sky, and the void exploded. Who's interfering with Dark Earth? Above Taoist Feng Yin's head, the mirror illuminated the void. At this moment, the mirror no longer emitted an eerie glow, but a bone-piercing cold light. The surrounding void collapsed under the light of the mirror. Come out! Taoist Feng Yin roared. Divine light erupted from his eyes, piercing through the void like two beams of light. Not only him, but Thunder Sovereign's eyes were cold as well. Lightning flashed in his palm and exploded the void in the distance. They could accept it if true Lord Dark Earth was dead. But how strong was true Lord Dark Earth? Among the 72 Lord Gods, he was ranked 15th. In fact, Di Qi was the only one among the 14 who were still alive. There were 2 others in the fake heavenly grave. But no matter what, true Lord Dark Earth was ranked in the top 5 among the Lord Gods. He was also a near-emperor powerhouse who had walked more than 7,000 meters on the Great Tao, and such a peerless expert, just like Di Jun had died without a trace. His death was not worth a single cent. How was that possible? True Lord Dark Earth had been careful. How could he have made a mistake after Di Qi died? If that was the case, then he had underestimated the divine court powerhouses. Was there someone hiding in the dark? Was it sabotaging? Taoist Feng Yin did not know, but he felt that something was wrong. True Lord Dark Earth should not have died just like that. At this moment, the veteran Venerable Emperor was no longer smiling. He was extremely fierce. The mirror above his head scanned the void, causing a loud explosion in the sky above the Kunwang Palace. The Thunder Sovereign was also enraged. If there was someone hiding in the dark, it meant that the person was stronger than them, at least saint level. Was there? They did not know. But at this moment, the 2 of them were still very vigilant, scanning the void. Fang Ping, who was disguised as Yun Sheng, was pale. The others were the same, including Di Qi. Dark Earth was dead. His strength was a bit stronger than Dark Earth, but there was a limit to how strong he was. Now that Dark Earth had been killed by the void crack, how could he not panic? No one cared about breaking the array anymore. Di Fei rushed to Fang Ping's side immediately, his face full of vigilance and worry. He quickly transmitted his voice. Shang, I'm afraid there's a great enemy lying in ambush. Looking at the situation, it might be the attack of a sage. When the battle breaks out, leave immediately. If he wasn't a sage, how could he launch a sneak attack on an expert like Supreme Dark Earth? It was not that they did not know King Fang Ping's abilities, but Fang Ping, what was his strength? Even if he were to hide in the dark, it would still be difficult for him to launch a sneak attack on a martial artist close to the Emperor realm without anyone noticing, let alone deceive 2 venerable sovereigns. In the void, Taoist Feng Yin swept through the void, causing cracks to appear. At this moment, his eyes flickered as he looked down at the people gathered below. Who was behind this? To be able to hide from him, that person was definitely a top-notch expert. How did underground darkness get ambushed? Was it really a mistake, or was it a sneak attack? It was hard for him to make a judgment right now, because Dark Earth True Monarch died without a complete corpse, completely crushed into pieces by the cracks. At this moment, he suddenly thought of a scene. The scene outside the Sky Cemetery that day. The scene of Life King's death. Who killed Life King? Zhang Tao? No, it was Fang Ping. Fang Ping. Taoist Feng Yin was knowledgeable and knew a lot about Fang Ping. The other party had a divine weapon that could slash Daos. However, a divine weapon that could slash Daos needed to be stronger than the other party. Was Fang Ping as strong as Dark Earth True Monarch? Obviously not. However, on that day, Fang Ping was not as strong as Life King, yet he still managed to assassinate Life King. At that time, the powerhouses were in a hurry to enter the Sky Cemetery, and no one thought deeply about it. However, now, Taoist Feng Yin could not help but think deeply. Was it Fang Ping? Fang Ping had snuck in? How was it possible? The divine sect's strict inspection could be seen from the treasured mirrors at the entrance. Did Fang Ping have the ability to sneak in? However, everything that had happened now made him doubt it. It was too much of a coincidence. The coincidence was terrifying. How many people had died in these 2 days? Yan, Ji, Di Jia, Di Dark, Di Man, Di Jun, 1 emperor and 4 gods had died just like that. Now, only 2 emperors and 6 gods were left. The divine sect's strength had been greatly reduced, and they had suffered heavy losses. Was it Fang Ping? Taoist Feng Yin continued to shatter the void while pondering. Beside him, Venerable Thunder was still fuming. Taoist Feng Yin was cursing in his heart. Idiot! If Fang Ping had really snuck in, this idiot would have to bear a lot of responsibility. If Thunder had not attacked, how could Dijia and Yanji have fallen so easily? Is Fang Ping hiding in the dark, or has he snuck into the crowd? According to my understanding, Fang Ping seems to be unable to change an aura stronger than his. Thunder is not, ground chi is not, the others are all possible. Because Fang Ping had killed Di Hui and Di Zhou, it was difficult to judge how strong Fang Ping was. Of course, he had probably not reached the realm of a near emperor, so ground chi was most likely not. However, the other 5 were all possible. Has he snuck in? Now, if I rashly investigate, I'm afraid it will cause these people's dissatisfaction and vigilance. Taoist Windcloud's head was as big as a cow's. He was not sure if Fang Ping had sneaked in. Perhaps Fang Ping had sneaked in but was not hidden among these true gods. If he rashly wanted to investigate, everyone would be extremely worried. Now that they thought that he was going to harm them, it might cause these true gods to explode. Who is it? Yunsheng? Taoist Feng Yin glanced at the frightened Yunsheng from the corner of his eye, frowning slightly. Yunsheng had entered from the outside world and suddenly proved his Tao in battle. It was also because of his Tao that the battle yesterday broke out, causing many people to die. Was it him? Di Jia secretly said that it was Yunsheng who contacted Thunder and killed Yanji yesterday. This style was somewhat like Fang Ping. However, Yunsheng had been living under Di Fei's nose all this time. Yunsheng's identity was also extremely secretive. How did Fang Ping know that Yunsheng was from Pantheon? Even if he knew, how did he replace him and enter Pantheon? Or was it actually Di Fei? The father and son were the most suspicious. Di Ping, Di Xing, and Di Gu were also suspects. However, Di Xing had been guarding the Fountain of Immortality for 1,000 years. That was not right. This guy had not shown up recently. It was said that he had even sealed the Fountain of Immortality. Could it be that something had happened? Di Ping and Di Gu were better, so they were less suspicious. The other 3 were all very suspicious. Taoist Feng Yun's mind was full of thoughts. If Fang Ping sneaked into Pantheon, Yunsheng is the most suspicious, followed by Di Fei and Di Xing. These 3 are the most suspicious. But if he didn't, as he thought about it, Taoist Feng Yun suddenly stopped bombarding the void. He stepped on the air and landed in front of Fang Ping and the others. At this moment, seeing his serious expression, Thunder Venerable Emperor also hurried over. He stopped breaking the array. Now everyone was afraid. If this went on, except for the 2 Venerable Emperors, everyone else might die. Even if the 2 Venerable Emperors did not have anyone else to help, they would die if this went on. Fang Ping was extremely nervous. Did he notice? Had he killed too many? At this moment, Fang Ping was worried that he would be exposed. He quickly communicated with Sky Wood in his mind. This can't go on. That old fox Feng Yin seems to have noticed something. Once I'm exposed with the 2 Venerable Emperors here, I will definitely die. Elder Mu, it's time for you to contribute. Skywood was speechless. He had a feeling that he was going to be unlucky. Elder Mu, I'll use a large amount of imperishable matter and origin chi to create a clone. Your clone has an emperor-level aura. When the clone enters, it will control my imperishable matter clone and attack suddenly. Think of a way to kill Diping or Digu. Killing an emperor level will work too. Create chaos. You must be fast and then escape immediately. Skywood could not stand it anymore. Once I make a move, my aura will be recognized immediately. Skywood Forest is still fighting. If I attract these people's attention, I'll bet that they won't dare to go there. Fang Ping said firmly, I'll bet. They won't dare to participate in the Battle of Emperors, let alone the Battle of Saints. But if I die, Elder Mu, I'm afraid of death. If I die, I'll definitely betray you. I'll say that I can become a heavenly king after eating your golden fruit. Sky would almost curse it out loud. He was surprised. This guy had good eyesight. He saw the golden fruit? Damn bastard. How dare he threaten me? These people probably would not dare to go without knowing the benefits. But if they really believed this king human's words and thought that eating the golden fruit would make them a heavenly king, would these two venerable emperors give up? Skywood cursed in his heart, but said quickly, even if I show up, they might not believe that I was the one who did it. They will. Fang Ping said immediately, you're a venerable emperor. If you're hiding in the dark, you must have bad intentions. As Fang Ping spoke, he had already condensed a clone inside his body. A powerhouse's body was like a small universe. Although it was not as big as a storage space, it could still be used to store a mountain into a mustard seed. If not, Zhang Tao would not have been able to swallow that venerable emperor. At this moment, a golden man was sitting cross-legged inside Fang Ping's body. Without batting an eyelid, Fang Ping guided Skywood's mentality inside. Looking at the clone, Skywood's apparition was a little surprised. How much imperishable matter was this? Other than the imperishable matter, this clone had condensed an endless amount of origin chi. Extravagant, too extravagant. This king of man was rich and had a lot of resources. A clone like this, controlled by an emperor-level, no, a saint-level powerhouse's mentality clone, could unleash unparalleled power. Yes, saint-level. Fang Ping had guessed that it was saint-level. There was no other reason. This old man said that the Kuan King's clone had the strength close to a saint level. If Skywood did not have the strength of a saint level, he would definitely not be a match for this top-notch Heavenly King's clone. A mentality clone of a saint level. Even if it did not cut too much mentality, controlling such a clone and unleashing its strongest attack, Fang Ping felt that it should be able to reach Emperor level, right? Skywood was helpless. He said again, even so, how do you let me out? Unless I fly out of your body? If that's the case, you'll still be exposed. It's fine. Fang Ping did not give him a chance to escape. He said quickly, later, I'll use the God-slaying saber to slash lonely earth for a while. I'll take this opportunity to break through third heaven. You sneak in immediately. Fang Ping was not afraid of being discovered. He continued, you sneak in and attack us immediately. No, attack lonely earth. At this moment, they'll definitely think that you broke through space. Skywood still wanted to struggle. He had no choice. Once his mentality went into battle, it would dissipate very quickly. If it dissipated, then his main body would also be damaged. As for King Kuan, his clone was constantly maintained by treasures. His clone was also very special, the kind that was similar to Guqing. Back then, after Guqing's mentality severed him, the two clones would not dissipate. These powerhouses all had their own methods. However, Skywood could not move, but it did not. If it dissipated, then so be it. Although this wisp of mentality was not much, it was not considered little either. At this moment, hearing that Fang Ping had already arranged everything, Skywood was also very helpless. Forget it, forget it. If it was lost, then so be it. If it ran back to Skywood Forest before it dissipated, perhaps it could still be retrieved. Not only could it retrieve its clone, but it could also retrieve the clone created by Kingman. These imperishable substances and origin chi were not considered little to it. This was a treasure. At the thought of this, Sky would no longer hesitated. He said quickly, "All right." The communication between these two actually happened in an instant. At this moment, Taoist Feng Yun and Thunder Emperor had just landed. They did not have time to speak. Fang Ping did not dare to give him a chance to speak. Once he did, some things would be troublesome. The moment the two of them landed on the ground, perfected Lord Digu suddenly roared and his aura burst forth, causing the void to tremble. The space was also shattered. Fang Ping and the others were close. At this moment, their expressions changed. They roared and went all out, either escaping from this place or attacking Digu. They were scared out of their wits. The two venerable emperors were a little vigilant, retreating one after another. As for Fang Ping, he also took the opportunity to break the void, escaping into the void. In the blink of an eye, he released Sky, Wood, and then broke the void, appearing 1,000 meters away. At this moment, Digu was still in a state of panic. The next moment, a big hand reached out from the void, grabbing directly at Digu. "How dare you! How dare you!" The two venerable emperors had also escaped 1,000 meters away. At this moment, seeing this, they both roared. There was actually someone in the dark. They did not find him just now. Of course, it was also because they did not come to Fang Ping's side to sweep the void. After all, many true gods had just gathered here, and they did not have time to sweep this place. At this moment, seeing the big hand reaching out from the void, both of them were extremely shocked and furious. There was actually someone hiding here. Saint. A haze flashed in Wind and Cloud's eyes. It was the aura of a saint. Soon his eyes moved, and he shouted, "A clone of a saint, not the main body. Kill him." He sensed that the chi activity was not right. It was not as powerful as a saint. Thunder Venerable Emperor had also sensed the saint's aura earlier. At this moment, when he heard that it was not the main body, he roared angrily. Suddenly, a thunderbolt appeared in his hand, breaking the void with a rumble, and charged over there. The treasure mirror above Taoist Feng Yun's head also appeared again, shooting out a beam of light toward that side. At this moment, the big hand had already caught Digu. Laughter came from the void. "How dare you covet the Heavenly Emperor's golden body? You betrayed the Heavenly Court and slaughtered the Heavenly Court army. You deserve 1,000 deaths." As soon as the words were said, the big hand fell. With a rumble, Digu's head was crushed directly. At the same time, Skywood's other hand reached out and grabbed Digu with both hands, blocking in front of him. At this moment, Thunder and Wind and Cloud's killing moves came. Rumble. An earth-shattering rumble was heard. 3 powerhouses with the strength of emperors attacked at the same time, hitting a peak rank 4 or 5 martial artists at the same time. The result was obvious. No. At this moment, Digu roared. This was not the result he wanted. The 2 venerable emperors did not hold back. He was thinking too much. Thunder and Wind and Cloud did not dare to hold back at this time. A saint's clone had appeared, and the saint's real body was still unknown. If they destroyed the clone now, the other party's strength would be damaged. If they did not destroy the other party, then there would be big trouble. At this point, if they still held back, they would be disregarding their own lives. Digu's life was not as important as theirs. The 2 of them did not even look at Digu. In an instant, they attacked, destroying Digu and the void, revealing a golden figure hiding in the void. At this moment, the golden figure also crashed through the void, and a large amount of imperishable matter was annihilated. "Kid, you're quite ruthless." Skywood's voice was heard. With a low laugh, he turned and shattered the void, fleeing into the distance. "Where are you going?" "Kill him." Thunder roared, chasing after him with Taoist Feng Yun instantly. As for Fang Ping and the others, they did not move at all. At this moment, Digu's golden body had been destroyed, leaving only a weak wisp of mentality. He was not completely dead yet. Everyone looked at Digu's mentality, their faces full of anxiety and fear. Another one had almost died. When they came, there were 8 true gods. Now there were only 5. As for Digu, with this little bit of mentality, without treasures to repair him, he would immediately overflow. But who would take out treasures to repair him at this time? Not to mention no one. Even if they had, they would not give them. This was a life-saving treasure. The golden body was not so easy to repair, and so was mentality. The remaining 5 people gathered together almost instantly. Only when they were together would they feel a little safe. Di Fei was extremely nervous. He looked around and gritted his teeth. Damn it! There is really a powerhouse in the dark. Or a saint. Who is this person? Di Chi's eyes flickered. It's a saint's clone. It seems similar to the aura of Skywood Forest. Could it be? No way. As soon as he said this, everyone was shocked again. Skywood Forest? Could it be that the tree had become a monster? At this moment, the 2 venerable emperors were already fighting each other in the void, causing a huge commotion. True Lord Di Xing's face was pale. He asked hurriedly, "What do we do now?" Scared. Really scared. He could not stay in Divine Palace anymore. It was too dangerous. The emperors were dead, the near emperors were dead, and now the weaklings were starting to die. Di Gu was slightly stronger than him, but now he only had a little mentality left. At this moment, in the void, Di Gu's mentality slowly condensed into a human figure. It was extremely weak, as if it would collapse with a gust of wind. Of course, it had not collapsed yet. Just as Di Gu was about to speak, something unexpected happened. There was a rumble. The Tao collapsed. Blood rained down. Di Gu's apparition, like a bubble, burst directly. Damn it, I'm collapsing. Seeing this, everyone was helpless. He had collapsed just like that. Fang Ping, on the other hand, was afraid that Di Gu would know something and expose himself. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he charged into the other's origin space and began to silence him. Di Gu was so weak that his Tao was about to collapse. It was easy for Fang Ping to kill him. As expected, he was completely killed in a matter of 2 or 3 slashes. As for collapsing, Di Gu was already in a precarious situation. Suddenly collapsing was not inexplicable. Moreover, the enemy had left. There were no enemies here. Di Gu was dead. Of course, it was because the enemy was too heavy-handed. 3 paragons died. Today, there would be a rain of blood. Yesterday's blood cloud had not dissipated. Today, 3 more people died. The Tao mourned, and the rain of blood fell in advance. Everyone was bathed in the rain of blood. No one spoke. They all looked miserable. There were only 5 true gods left. Di Ping and Di Xing were terrified and uneasy. Di Fei also said in a low voice, "Brother, what should we do now?" He was asking Di Chi. He was also the strongest among them now. They were all dead. If this went on, they were afraid that they would be next. Di Chi looked into the distance. The battle in the void was still going on. His expression was complicated. He looked at the Earth King Hall again. It was even more complicated. Damn it! They were about to open the Earth King Hall. Yet this happened. What should they do now? Should they leave? They could not accept it. Thinking of this, Di Chi transmitted, "Wait. Wait for the 2 venerable sovereigns to come back. But brothers, now there are only 5 of us left. We can't split up again. We can't let any accidents happen. The 5 of us can fight venerable sovereigns together. It's not dangerous. Once 1 or 2 of us die, even if I survive, it will be extremely dangerous to fight venerable sovereigns. Besides, there are enemies in the dark. We can't have any other thoughts." Everyone nodded hurriedly. At this time, they didn't have any other thoughts. They had to survive first. In 2 days, 1 sovereign and 5 deities had died. At this moment, Tian Mu's laughter came from afar. "You betrayed the sect master. You will die sooner or later. I won't argue with you. When the sect master comes back, you will be on your own." As soon as he finished speaking, a loud sound rang out. A broken figure broke through the void and fled toward the heavenly wood forest. The next moment, two figures with powerful auras appeared. Seeing the heavenly wood clone escape, they didn't chase him. After a while, the two turned around and broke through the void. They landed in front of everyone in the blink of an eye. At this moment, the two venerable sovereigns looked extremely gloomy. Tianmu. That was Tianmu's clone, just now. He became a demon and a saint. His real body must be entangled by something and can't move. But we can't go to the heavenly wood forest anymore. Otherwise, with his real body here, he can unleash saint-level strength. No one will be a match for him. Taoist Fengyun deduced many things in an instant. He didn't expect Tianmu to be hiding inside. Di Qi said worriedly, This is the sect master's plan and backup plan? Judging from Tianmu's tone, it seemed so. Was this someone left behind by the sect master? This was really troublesome. They were breaking the Earth King's hull. No wonder Tianmu wanted to stop them. Taoist Fengyun didn't think Fang Ping had sneaked in now. Tianmu had appeared. Obviously, his previous guess was wrong. Now that things have come to this, there's no way out. Either we leave the heavenly court now, or break the array immediately. Tianmu has already left. I'm afraid he won't come back now. Everyone leave or stay, it's up to you. As soon as he said this, Fang Ping gritted his teeth and said, Break the array! At this point, there's no turning back. Did he pay so much and sacrificed so many uncles just to escape? I can't accept this. I want to enter the temple. Enter the temple. Everyone quickly made up their minds. Break the array while no one was interfering. Chapter 1105. This time, Fang Ping was completely low-key. The two venerable sovereigns and the few real gods were all extremely vigilant at the moment. They broke the formation and attacked continuously, regardless of their injuries. The weak ones, such as Di Xing, Di Ping, and Fang Ping, were constantly injured. The two venerable emperors were not much better. They were dealing with the 5 great arrays. Di Qi was also facing the 4 great arrays now. On Fang Ping's side, everyone was also frightened, afraid of encountering the 4 great arrays, which could be a fatal threat. The fall of the 3 powerhouses also made the atmosphere much more gloomy. At this moment, these people were only paying attention to the array, the void, and the direction of Skywood Forest. No one noticed that the few fallen venerable emperors' energy was dispersing much faster. The fall of the 3 venerable emperors should have caused an energy tide. But this was the first time they had encountered such a situation. No venerable emperors had died in God City for 8,000 years. Who knew what would happen if the venerable emperors died? 10,000 meters underground. In the amber, the golden bones were emitting a faint golden glow. True gods are dead, an inaudible voice was heard. It was limited to the vicinity of the amber and quickly dissipated. The next moment, the amber became calm again. Today, tens of thousands of martial artists and 3 true gods died in the sky. The energy dispersing from these people was not a small amount. Fang Ping did not know that because of his action, a powerhouse who was almost completely dead began to gradually recover. It's opening soon. At this moment, Taoist Fengyun and Thunder Venerable Emperor were extremely excited. The array was opening soon. At this moment, outside the bronze hall, the waves were rippling. It was the array that was shaking. Finally, it was opening. After paying the price of the death of 3 real gods. Under the situation where everyone was injured, the formation was finally going to be activated. Everyone was extremely excited. Again, Taoist Fengyun roared. At this moment, Di Qi suddenly said, When the attack is over and the array is broken, everyone retreat more than 300 feet. As soon as he said that, Di Fei and the others' expressions changed instantly. On the other side, Taoist Fengyun frowned slightly and said lightly, I was just about to remind you to be careful. Di Qi smiled, his eyes shining with some pride. Now, the 2 venerable emperors hoped that the others would die. But he couldn't. Di Fei and the others were what he relied on. They were what he could rely on to compete with the overlord level. If Di Fei and the others were dead, where would he find the capital to fight against an overlord? Once the formation was broken, it would definitely explode with its final power, which was extremely dangerous. Daoist Fengyin purposely did not mention it because he probably wanted to take the opportunity to kill them. Who asked Dark Earth to die? Now that Dark Earth was dead, there was no need for Daoist Fengyin to protect the other true gods. As for the threat of the three realms, everyone had gained something this time, so who would care about those threats? Even if they didn't find anything, the Earth King Palace had been opened, and with Tian Mu, a saint-level expert there, it was hard to say whether or not they would continue staying in the divine court. Yes, at this moment, these emperors and true gods were thinking of giving up on the divine court. No one wanted to live in the same area as a hostile saint. That would be courting death. Even if that saint couldn't move his true body, he couldn't share a cave with a tiger. Everyone was on their guard and didn't say anything. At that moment, only when the 5 real gods teamed up could they have a chance to fight for the treasure. Otherwise, the 2 venerable emperors would benefit from it. Break! The 2 venerable sovereigns shouted and attacked the formation with all their strength. The others also made their moves. Crack! A barely audible shattering sound was heard. The next moment, everyone fled outside in a frenzy without looking back. At that moment, everyone's hair stood on end as they sensed the danger. Rumble! Extremely powerful attacks erupted from all directions in the hall. Rumble! Behind Fong Ping, the cracks formed a long black dragon, sweeping toward him. Fong Ping ran as fast as he could. He didn't want to taste the feeling of being dragged in. The hall was shaking, and the entire God City was shaking. The 5 heavens formation had been broken. Now that it had unleashed its final power, it was extremely powerful and destructive beyond imagination. Outside the hall, the skeletons of some fallen martial artists were swept away and turned into nothingness in the blink of an eye. In the God City, at that moment, a large number of martial artists who were close to the Earth King Palace died. They exploded and died. This was the divine sect. The venerable sovereigns and true gods didn't even consider what kind of impact the formation would have on the outside world after it was broken. Of course, there weren't many people nearby. Many had already fled when the venerable sovereigns surrounded and killed the divine court soldiers. At that moment, those who had stayed were unlucky. Death had become the theme of the God City today. In the fake sky grave, King Kuin was no longer disturbed. Die! Go to hell! Di Gu was dead, and the formation was broken. What else was left? The remaining 2 venerable sovereigns and a few true gods would probably die. He had expected this. If these people had attacked the Earth King Palace, it's good that they're dead. King Kuin's eyes were cold. Those who dared to attack his palace died. These people were all traitors, so he didn't feel sorry for them. Whoever died next would probably be the one who attacked the temple. King Kuin felt that this was pretty good. At that moment, he didn't have the mood to care about those people. The powerhouses were staring at him from all directions, which made him angry. He had already given up on attacking Moon Spirit and Celestial Pole. With the Heavenly King subduing around, these bastards would be easily bewitched. Li Xuanxie, that old thing, had a dark heart. King Kuin suppressed the anger in his heart, looked around, and said coldly, "Enough! If anyone dares to provoke me again, even if I don't break this formation today, I'll make sure you get nothing. Just wait for my revenge." As soon as he said that, the Heavenly King, subduing, immediately said, "Did you hear that? He still wants to take revenge on us. Once we separate, this guy will definitely take revenge. I'm not afraid. After all, I'm at the peak of breaking 6. He might not be able to kill me. You guys are doomed. In my opinion, we should kill him now. That way, there will be one less threat." Celestial Pole chuckled and said, all right, kill him. Li Zhen, let's go together." Li Zhen? Everyone was silent. The Heavenly King, subduing's mouth twitched. King Kuin's eyes flickered, and he suddenly shouted, Li Zhen! Li Zhen! Who are you? No, who is Pluto? I almost forgot what King Zhen's surname is. King Zhen is mysterious, and I don't know where he came from. It's said that he's related to the beginning of martial arts. Is Pluto the reincarnation of King Zhen? The heavenly king, subduing, was speechless and said helplessly, How can you believe a lunatic's words? Then he looked at Celestial Pole and said with a smile, Celestial Pole, did you get the wrong person? Celestial Pole shuddered and muttered, I don't think so. Aren't you Li Zhen? I remember your brother is Li Zhen, and you are Li Zhen, nicknamed Catharsis. I even said that your names were the same. Celestial Pole was a little uncertain. Did I remember wrongly? It was hard to say. His memory was very messy. He remembered that the Li brothers went to the West Emperor's palace, and his father came to welcome them. He also remembered that when the Heaven Realm was destroyed, King Zhen died, and this old man seemed to have gone to steal his body. Celestial Pole was a little confused. Your brother is Li Zhen, King Kuin, and the others' expressions changed again. When experts communicated, even if their pronunciations were similar, there would be some mental fluctuations in their communication. Through these fluctuations, they could still distinguish the difference. Li Zhen seemed to be King Zhen. Li Zhen, King Zhen, King Zhen's elder brother? King Zhen had an elder brother? Everyone looked at each other. At this moment, Li Zhu suddenly said, I vaguely heard that King Zhen came from the land of beginner martial arts. I don't know if he had an elder brother, but the land of beginner martial arts was extremely powerful before it was destroyed. When the Heaven Court was first established, many experts from the land of beginner martial arts came to the Heaven Realm to train, but the number decreased after that. The 4 emperors were actually related to the land of beginner martial arts. King Zhen, Li Zhen, Li Zhen, Li Zhen. He mentioned 3 people in a row, then looked at King Zhen and smiled. You are not a weapon master. I seem to have read a record that the weapon master had a mysterious good friend. Is that you? Was it because of you that the weapon master looked up to King Zhen? Did you snatch away King Zhen's corpse to save him so that he could be reincarnated? King Zhen also walked the path of beginner martial arts, but I'm not sure about the details. Did you let him reincarnate so that he would no longer walk the path of beginner martial arts? Everyone looked at King Zhen. At this moment, Moon Spirit also lightly snorted and said, I've met him. Back then, Imperial Father chatted happily with him for many days in the Northern Imperial Palace. At that time, I was still young, and Imperial Father even asked if he wanted to send me to his place to learn the Tao. Everyone's expression changed. The North Emperor wanted his daughter to learn Tao from King Zhen? King Zhen said helplessly, Moon Spirit, you must have mistaken me for someone else. You are crazy. You must have mistaken me for someone else. How is that possible? I'm not young, but I'm not too old either. You're still young. How old are you? Am I older than you? Moon Spirit snorted again and ignored him. Stop pretending. It's you. This guy had been guarding outside Mount Wangwu for hundreds of years. She knew about him, but he seemed familiar. He seemed to be that person from back then. She didn't care anymore. This person talked to her father and seemed to have a good relationship. He could be considered her elder, who knew how strong he was. Anyway, her father would not look up to those who were too weak. This person was extremely strong. If it wasn't for that, with her temper, she would have long made the other party suffer for blocking the door for so many years. Everyone was shocked again. King Zhen was not a weapon master. This was even more shocking than being a weapon master. He was King Zhen's elder brother. Back then he talked to the emperor. How strong was this guy? The 3 messengers also had the strength of Breaking 6, but they were at the peak. But the 3 messengers didn't talk to any emperor for so long that the emperor was willing to let them teach his daughter, right? King Zhen looked at Heaven's fate. His eyes were full of resentment. Bastard! Was this guy crazy? You don't remember anyone, but you remember me. I'm not familiar with you, right? I haven't met Emperor Xu many times. You've almost forgotten your father. You remember me? What's going on? And that crazy woman, Moon Spirit. She was so cute back then. She's not cute now. She's still undermining me now. King Jin said helplessly. You must have remembered wrongly. I'm not a famous person. Fine, I admit it. I'm the Weapon Master's first disciple. My name is Liu. I was lucky to escape back then. Then a spear appeared in his hand. He sighed. I thought I hit it well, but I have to say it today. I don't want you to think I'm an opponent and kill me. Someone is trying to frame me. This is my Yuwu spear. I was the one who took King Zhen's body and his heavenly king's seal. Everyone's eyes sparkled. King Qian frowned slightly. You're Liu? That's me. King Jin smiled bitterly. King Qian, you still remember me? I met you a few times back then. After Master stopped being a weapon master, he lived in seclusion in the mountains. I remember you came to his seclusion. Master handed the Heavenly Court army to you 8 kings. That year, when you came here, Master handed the Weapon Master seal to you. I served him by his side. Do you remember King Qian? King Qian frowned slightly and nodded. I remember. Liu was a Saint Stage powerhouse back then. How could I forget? You're Liu. Where's the Weapon Master? He's dead. King Jin sighed. You guys could have avoided that war, but Master was the Heavenly Court's Weapon Master. How could he have avoided it? Master protected the Heavenly Court for countless years. During the war, he went to the Heavenly Court alone and died. The rest of us could only run for our lives. King Kuin suddenly frowned. I've seen Liu before. He's not as cunning as you. Liu is honest. King Zhen was speechless. King Kuin, how many years has it been? 10,000 years. It's been 10,000 years since we last met. Besides, who's cunning? We've lived for 10,000 years. Do you think we're still children? Childish. Liu is as strong as you. King Zhen sneered. Childish. It's not like I became stronger in a day or two. It's been almost 10,000 years. You can improve, but I can't. Back then, you'd only just entered the Heavenly King stage. Now, you can break through the 7th level. I'm a saint, and I'm breaking through the 6th level. Can't I do that too? Everyone looked at each other. This guy was Liu? Not many people had seen Liu, but there was. The first disciple of a weapon master. How strong was a weapon master? Back then, he was at the peak of breaking 6. That was many years ago. After the 8 kings became weapon masters, the weapon master gradually went into hiding. His disciple appeared 10,000 years later. Although it was strong, it was not unbelievable. Everyone was confused. Who was this guy? Heaven's pole was a little crazy. Could he be mistaken? But since Moon Spirit said so, it was hard to tell. King Kuin did not believe him. He said coldly, You don't have to let others fear me. You probably have the strength to break 7. You're King Zhen's elder brother. Don't think I'll believe you. Liu is probably long dead. Believe it or not. King Zhen said casually, Forget it if you don't believe me. I'll tell you. If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do. Then he looked at Heaven's pole again. Prince Heaven's pole, do you remember now? Am I Li Zhan or not? Heaven's pole suddenly felt cold. Danger! Someone was threatening him. Even a madman was afraid of death. Besides, he didn't seem so crazy anymore. After a few fights, he was much more clear-headed. You're Liu? I think so. Did I get wrong? Heaven's pole murmured like a crazy demon. Did you get it wrong? Probably. It's been so long. Father, where are you? Heaven's pole's voice was sorrowful. How tragic. This person threatened him, and that person wanted to kill him. What a bully. Father, you're dead, and you don't even care about me anymore. On the other side, Moon Spirit did not say a word. If you said you got it wrong, then so be it. Who knew how strong this old man was? If it really was that person from back then Then come to think of it, he had almost become that person's disciple. Han Kuan was of the same generation. Although he was strong, she was not afraid. But for someone of the same generation as her father, she was more or less afraid. King Zhen did not say anything else, but he was cursing in his heart. You two bastards, I don't even remember, but you still remember. What's so great about being a madman? The general trend against King Kuan was broken in an instant. Now, no matter whether everyone believed him or not, at least they would not be bewitched by him like before. Because he might be very strong. Am I strong? King Jin asked himself and cursed in his heart. Who is strong? This old man is not strong at all. If he was really strong, wouldn't I be able to kill all the heavenly kings here? Do I need to act with you? There are so many heavenly kings here. Too many. How can I defeat them? King Kuan sneered, but he was even more afraid in his heart. This guy was actually King Jin's elder brother. He knew King Zhen. After all, they were both kings and he was a prince, so he more or less knew King Jin's son. He, King Kuan, was not considered strong back then. In the real ranking, King Kuan should be crossed off. That was King Qian. King Zhen, it was hard to say who was stronger between King Qian and King Zhen. Now, King Qian was still alive and extremely strong. He even suspected that King Qian had the strength to break 7. King Zhen, who was similar to him back then, probably had the strength to break 7. And King Zhen's elder brother was weaker than his younger brother? That was not necessarily true. Was Li Zhen the reincarnation of King Zhen? King Kuan's mind raced, and he actually dug out an old antique. Of course, King Zhen was about the same age as King Qian. He was not considered an old antique, at least to him. But King Zhen's elder brother, who knew what era he was from, could he not be a real beginner martial artist? He should not be. Beginner martial artists could not walk on the origin. King Zhanwang could, so he should not be a beginner martial artist. But even if he was not, he could be a second-generation beginner martial artist. There were many powerhouses among the second-generation beginner martial artists. The tense atmosphere from before had dissipated. A guy with unknown identity and strength was mixed among them. If they started a fight now, it would be easy for him to take advantage of them. It was better to think carefully. King Zhanwang smiled and did not say anything, but he glanced at Heaven's fate. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in Heaven's fate's mind. You're finished. You're really driving yourself crazy. If you don't go crazy, when your father reappears, I will smash your head. Heaven's fate wanted to cry, Father! An extremely sorrowful roar was heard. Heaven's fate had gone crazy. He had really gone crazy this time. Father, your son is suffering. Your son is being threatened. If you're alive, you will smash my head. I'm a dog's head. Father, what are you? Chapter 1106. Whether celestial polarity cried or not had nothing to do with Fang Ping. At this moment, Fang Ping and the others returned to the bronze basilica cautiously. The ground was a complete mess. Previously, the final explosion of the Grand Array had engulfed the entire God City. Today, there were countless casualties in the God City. But at this moment, no one cared. Everyone was very excited. The formation was broken. In front of the palace door, the 2 venerable sovereigns and the 5 true gods all looked at the gate expectantly. At that moment, Taoist Feng Yun suddenly said, Be careful of the formation. Yun Sheng, you're the weakest. Even if you touch the formation, your counterattack will be limited. We can resist it. Go and take a look. Fang Ping did not look too good. Was this guy still suspecting something? Or did he really want him to test it out? Before Fang Ping could speak, Difei suddenly said, Sir, isn't this inappropriate? Yunsheng has only just advanced, and he hasn't even stabilized his cultivation yet. His control over his strength is still weak, and the slightest mistake could easily cause the grand formation to explode. Difei said a few words and said calmly, Sir, you are a venerable sovereign. Your control of power is superb. I think it's better for you to take the trouble to investigate. As he spoke, he looked at Di Chi and the others with a determined expression. Now that you've agreed, us true gods will be at the mercy of others. If there's one, there'll be another. We don't even know if there will be any danger after this. If we're going to test the waters, we'll die sooner or later. We might as well fall out with him now. Ground Chi's expression changed for a while and said slowly, Sir, there should be no more formation, right? Yunqing's strength is weak, so forget it. If he ignored Yunqing now, Di Fei would probably fall out with him. If the father and son ran away, would Di Ping and Di Xing still dare to stay? At that time, the alliance would fall apart. He was no match for the two venerable sovereigns. Feng Yun frowned slightly. Thunder Sovereign did not say a word, but he was gloating inwardly. Continue. It would be best to offend these few people to death. He felt that he might not be a match for Feng Yun. Now he had the intention to rope in these few true gods to prevent Feng Yun from benefiting. Taoist Feng Yun's eyes flickered, and he said faintly, I don't want anyone to die or take risks, but I think Yun Sheng's control is strong, and his strength isn't weak either. If he encounters danger, he might be more suitable than the others. Moreover, the cloud-born golden body is powerful, so I have a higher chance of surviving in a crisis. Fang Ping cursed inwardly. Was this guy testing him? This won't do. If this went on, he would really be exposed. Taoist Feng Yun was probably still suspecting something. This guy was too paranoid. Didn't I throw Heavenly Wood out to be the scapegoat? Why are you still doubting me? However, he knew that Taoist Feng Yun wasn't sure. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so easygoing. Now that he said he was Fang Ping, oddity ground, and the others might think that Taoist Feng Yun was trying to drive a wedge between them. These people might not believe Feng Yun's words, but even if he didn't believe it, that didn't mean he didn't suspect it at all. At this moment, Fang Ping's eyes flickered for a while. He said quickly, Sir, now that things have come to this, why are you still sending us to our deaths? There aren't many divine court realm experts left. Do you really want to kill all the true gods, my lord? As Fang Ping spoke, he took a few steps back and said loudly, Sir, if you don't want us to reap the benefits, then Yunqing will withdraw. Father, this place is dangerous. Why don't we return to Heavenly Cloud Island? Di Fei reacted instantly. He gathered with Fang Ping and said coldly, Then my son and I will leave this place. Please have mercy, sir. Taoist Feng Yun's expression changed slightly, and he said coolly, Yunsheng, you're more talkative than before. I don't mean that. Why do you have to be so sharp-tongued? If you really investigate some things, there might be loopholes. Sir, what do you mean? Fang Ping's face was livid. Sir, are you trying to drive a wedge between us? After saying that, he gritted his teeth and said, Is it because we joined forces with Venerable Emperor Thunder? If you're angry because of this. At the side, Thunder's eyes flickered. Could it be true? Was Feng Yun afraid because they joined forces to kill Yanji? Worried? Taoist Feng Yun's expression changed again. He chuckled and said, What a glib tongue! What a new true god! I've heard that you're better with your mouth than your hands. Now it seems that it's not a lie. Fang Ping frowned and snorted. Sir, you must be joking. Yunqing doesn't have that capability. Yes, Yunqing doesn't have that capability. Taoist Feng Yun smiled and glanced at them again. Seeing that their faces were full of vigilance and anger, he sighed in his heart. If I said that Yunsheng was Fang Ping, how would they react? Would they think that I'm trying to frame them? He was even more certain that Yunsheng was Fang Ping in disguise. As for the previous Heavenly Wood, he was a little shocked. Maybe Heavenly Wood and Fang Ping were in cahoots. If that was the case, it would be a little scary. This king of man had entered the celestial court and created a massacre in a few words. Now a saint-level powerhouse, even if he could not come here, but if he was really working with Fang Ping, who knew if he could move his real body? Should he expose him? Would it benefit him if he did? After thinking for a while, Feng Yun closed his eyes. Fong Ping's mind suddenly rang out his voice. Let's work together. Some things only you and I know. I just want to become stronger. I don't care about other things. Even if you and I fight to the death, it won't change the general trend. The ones who really decide the general trend are not you and me, but those in the celestial cemetery. Even if all the powerhouses in the three realms die now, it won't change anything. Since we're already here, it won't help even if we fight again. You and Di Fei work together with me. Thunder is the main warmonger. I've traveled the three realms all these years, and I've also been to the human world. I know one thing. The ones who decide the general trend are the powerhouses. The top powerhouses. Fong Ping, what do you think? Fong Ping frowned. He was also very vigilant, preparing to retreat. The next moment, Fong Ping suddenly shouted, "Sir, why are you threatening me? Father, can you and I fight an emperor today?" Di Fei's chi activity surged. Both of them stood together instantly, looking at Feng Yun angrily. Di Chi and the others frowned. At this moment, they also moved slowly, walking to Fong Ping and Yun Sheng's side. Taoist Feng Yun gave Fong Ping a deep look and said lightly, "Yun Sheng, I'm not threatening you. I'm just telling you that a venerable emperor is a venerable emperor after all. A true god can't compare to him." Fong Ping gritted his teeth and suddenly looked at Venerable Emperor Thunder. He did not say anything, just looked at him. Venerable Emperor Thunder saw this and smiled slightly, saying, "Feng Yun, forget it. Why bother with the juniors? Since we've already come this far, why start a dispute again?" He was very satisfied. Feng Yun and them were at loggerheads. This was the best. Taoist Feng Yun glanced at him and chuckled, smiling indifferently. Fong Ping was a little interesting. He was indeed testing him previously, but the test was very effective. Yun Sheng was Fong Ping. Otherwise, at this moment, Yun Sheng would be shouting that he was not Fong Ping. But he did not. As for turning hostile now, Feng Yun did not care. He believed that Fong Ping would make the right choice. Moreover, he did not plan to kill Fong Ping. Fong Ping's ability to strip Heavenly Emperor Dao was really a gift that came knocking on his door. Now that the Earth King Hall was open, the Heavenly Emperor Golden Body, thinking about it, Taoist Feng Yun suddenly felt a little excited. Taoist Feng Yun ignored everyone. The treasured mirror above his head shone in all directions. The hall door trembled. At this moment, the treasure realm was also trembling. Taoist Feng Yun closed his eyes to sense for a moment. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and said, "The array has been broken. Next, it's up to everyone's ability. I'll make a move first." As soon as he finished speaking, the treasured mirror emitted a strong light. The hall door rumbled. In the next moment, a gap opened. Taoist Feng Yun flashed and disappeared in the gap instantly. Venerable Emperor Thunder also rushed over instantly, but it was too late. Kaboom! An extremely violent energy overflowed and hit him in the blink of an eye. Venerable Emperor Thunder roared, smashing the space behind him. But he did not care, shouting angrily, "Don't even think about it!" As soon as he finished speaking, he also exploded with a powerful force. With one blow, the hall door trembled, revealing another gap. At this moment, Venerable Emperor Thunder also quickly entered. As for Ground Oddity and the others, they also roared and attacked the hall door together. This time, Ground Oddity did not hide. His aura was extremely powerful. With one blow, the hall door trembled. The hall door's counterattack was blocked by him alone. Go in!" Ground Oddity roared. If he went in alone, the others might not have a chance to enter. But if he went in, could he be a match for two venerable emperors? Everyone did not need him to say anything. Taking advantage of this opportunity, they all entered the gap. Ground Oddity roared, spitting out blood, and instantly entered the gap. With a loud bang, the hall door closed. At this moment, Fong Ping's heart trembled slightly. This door, he might not be able to open it alone. Once he entered, it would really be extremely dangerous. But things had already come to this point. If he did not enter, it would be even more dangerous. The Earth King Hall was opened. At this moment, the Earth King's clone also felt it. 10,000 zhang above. It was also a mess. The chessboard was still there, but at this moment, Sky Wood and the Earth King's clone had entered the chessboard. The chessboard was like a small world, sealing everything. At this moment, one person and one tree were in this chessboard. How dare you? The Earth King's clone snorted. No one knew whether he was talking about those who entered the Earth King Hall or the opposite Sky Wood. At this moment, the opposite Sky Wood still had white hair, but there was a walking stick in his hand. It was a walking stick made of wood, with a golden fruit carved on it. It looked real. Sky Wood held the walking stick in his hand. He looked old, bent over, and a large number of white chess pieces floated behind him. Opposite him, the Earth King was dressed in a black robe. His black hair fluttered in the wind, his face cold and solemn. Sky Wood, do you think you can make a comeback just like this? Your Highness, why are you so aggressive? Sky Wood coughed lightly. Your Highness, the combination of the clone and the main body, even if you can't break through 8 realms, you are close to it. That is also one of the strongest in the 3 realms. Your Highness, why must you fight with me to the end? Humph. The Earth King snorted coldly. 8,000 years. If not for the sake of merging Sky Wood with his clone, why would he need to wait as long as 8,000 years? Close to breaking 8? No, this king is doing it for breaking 9. Although breaking 8 was a supreme powerhouse, could he compare to Extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor? Could he compare to a sovereign? Not only did he, Hong Kuan, want to become strong, he also wanted to become the strongest. Extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor's Jade Bones, Extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor's Divine Sense, Extreme Tao Heaven and Earth Vital Energy, Extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor's everything. He wanted to become an Extreme Tao Sovereign. Sovereigns were also incomparably powerful, but in a single aspect, they were inferior to Extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor. Once he fused everything, then he might be able to become the strongest sovereign. This was his ambition. This was the reason why he constantly plotted and endured for these 8,000 years. He felt that he was about to succeed. Sky Wood almost could not hold on anymore. Fusing with Sky Wood, his spiritual sense and golden body could both reach a limit. Next was Heavenly Emperor's golden body. Heavenly Emperor's great Tao. Heavenly Emperor's everything. At that time, who could match in the 3 realms? Even if he was unable to become a sovereign now, he also possessed the combat strength to break through 9. Once he stepped into the sovereign Tao during the Great Struggle, he would complete the great cause that the Extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor couldn't complete back then. Your Highness, I'm afraid that the Earth King Palace has been opened and the Heavenly Dog's golden body has been seized. Your Highness's great plan has probably gone down the drain. Your Highness, must you continue to tangle with this old man? Tianmu sighed. Your Highness, do you know that Emperor Tsung's companions are among those who entered the Earth King Palace this time? Your Highness, are you still as indifferent as before? King Kuan's expression changed. He then snorted coldly, Yin Shang? Yes. So what? After all, he's not a cat. Your Highness, are you really not worried? Heavenly Wood laughed. It's not that I don't have the strength to continue fighting. If I continue, your Highness will also be injured, and there's a risk of dying. It would be better to return now. Dream on. Sky Wood sighed and said, It seems that His Highness wants this clone to die. It actually didn't want to fight anymore, so it asked the Kuan King's clone to leave. As for the King of Man, what did the King of Man's death have to do with it? If the Kuan King left, it could merge its mentality with the main body. Even if the main body was too powerful and it couldn't be completely controlled, it could still control it a little. It could leave the heavenly court, enter misery, and find a random place to cultivate. That would be better than staying here. After a few years, when it completely merged with the main body, it might be able to directly enter the heavenly king realm. The ancient number 1 tree was not just for show. Unfortunately, the Kuan king refused to leave. The Kuan king also didn't think that a rank 9, or rather, a true god, could do anything. Skywood felt that the Kuan king might underestimate this king of man. But even he didn't believe it when he said it. The man and the tree started fighting again. Skywood was helpless. If this went on, he had to think of a way. Otherwise, when would this fight end? The Kuan king's main body had returned. If he was still here, he probably wouldn't be able to leave. Inside the Earth King Palace, the moment Fong Ping entered, he felt that something was wrong. Everyone had disappeared. He came in through the door, and there was no one around him. Damn it! Fong Ping cursed. This was not a good thing. He didn't expect that there was a mystery inside the Kuan King's hall. Now that the true gods were scattered, if he really encountered an emperor level, he would be courting death. Previously, he could still fight. Even if Windcloud saw through his identity, Fong Ping felt that he could still fool the other true gods and kill Windcloud together. But now, why were they separated? There was indeed something mysterious about this hall. At this moment, he was on an empty ancient bronze path. There were walls on both sides. The bronze walls were the same material as the bronze hall. Fong Ping felt that he might not have the ability to break through. Fong Ping was extremely vigilant. At the same time, he also felt that Heavenly Battle Emperor was really poor. This Spring Guardian's palace was actually much more mysterious than his Heavenly Battle Palace. Didn't Old Wang know to plunder some benefits in his past life? What a waste of his identity as an extreme path Heavenly Emperor. Where is Tengu's corpse? I met Tengu. This guy is really alive. Forget it. I don't want to meet him anymore. Fong Ping suddenly did not want to meet Tengu's corpse. It was fine if it was dead. If it was alive, who knew what Tengu was thinking? Kill him with a slap? Swallow him in one gulp? Tengu could even swallow a saint in one gulp. Fong Ping did not think that he had a chance to speak. While thinking about this, Fong Ping walked forward. He was careful, not daring to make a single movement. Not only that, Fong Ping even restrained his aura at this time. Although he might be exposed if he suddenly met someone now, it was still better than being a beacon. This place was dim, but his aura could not be concealed. If someone secretly targeted him with a stronger mentality than him and a wider detection range, he was likely to be regarded as prey. If 2 emperors met him, Thunder would probably want to kill him. Windcloud would probably want to capture him too. Also, was there no other danger in this hall? Fong Ping stuck to the wall, almost bending his back as he walked forward. He did not dare to walk straight, lest he was suddenly cut in half at the waist. Anyway, no one saw him. It was okay to be a little cowardly outside. If he won in the end, he could boast all he wanted when he returned. After walking for a while, Fong Ping seemed to see something in front of him. Fong Ping continued forward. After walking for a while, he saw a few forks, and at the place where the forks converged, there was a simple hut with a simple plaque hanging on the hut. Fong Ping clearly did not recognize the words on the hut, but at this moment his mentality fluctuated, and he seemed to understand these words. Origin Realm. Fong Ping seemed to understand, a little surprised. What did it mean? Origin Realm? Ancient martial artists called rank 9 the Origin Realm. This hut was called the Origin Realm. Very soon, Fong Ping saw something else. On the left side of the hut, there was a tablet with words on it too. Origin, the beginning of all Daos. Where does Tao go? Where is the door that blocks the road? Where is the end? Does Tao have an end? A series of questions. Origin Realm, the beginning of Tao. Enter the origin, explore all Daos. Can all Daos converge? Fong Ping felt a little dizzy. What did it mean? This hut. What was it? This place, this hall, what was it for? He had never heard of these things in the Kunwang Hall. Origin Realm. Fong Ping murmured in his heart. Is this a place that simulates the origin world? This hut is the starting point to enter the Origin Realm? Fong Ping frowned. Someone was evolving Daos here. If it was really like what he guessed, the owner of this hall was too powerful. Was it the Spring Guardian or the Kunwang? This hall did not seem to be built for living, but for something else. Explore the end of Dao. Explore the location of the door. Find the Real Sanjiao Gate. One must know that the current Sanjiao Gate was all illusory and not real. If it is, as I think, this guy is a little too powerful. Maybe he is already close to that realm. Origin realm. Fong Ping looked at the hut in front of him. Should he go in? The hut had no door. It was pitch black inside. He could not see anything. Even mentality could not probe. While Fong Ping was hesitating, his expression suddenly changed. He quickly went into a fork and disappeared. After a while, a figure arrived. Ground oddity. Origin realm? Ground oddity also saw the hut, then looked at the forks in all directions, murmuring, Origin realm, this is the place where the sect leader stores Das. In the dark, Fong Ping's heart moved. Stores Das? The Kunwang had started many wars. After each war, he would go and reap the harvest. Where there was war, there was Kunwang. The gate of reflection was his handiwork. All these years, the age of turmoil, the era of the earthly emperor god dynasty, the era of the sects, including the invasion of the demon emperor 1,000 years ago, there were traces of the divine sect. No one could say for sure how many Daos Kuin had collected. Could it be that the Kunwang was useless and was stored in some place? Did the origin realm exist? Like how he let the old cat strip it previously, turned it into a crystal door and stored it here. If that was the case, this was a super treasure land. Fong Ping almost swallowed his saliva in his heart. He did not know how many Daos there were. If he brought them back and let the humans take them, even if their prospects were limited, they might not be able to become emperors or saints in the future. But so what? Creating a batch of paragons would still be of great use. Origin realm. What a great place. Ground oddity was also hesitant at this moment. He had also seen the stone monument. Should he go in or not? It felt a little dangerous. Forget it. I'm already here. How can I return empty-handed? After saying this, his figure moved and disappeared from the hut in an instant. Fong Ping hurriedly probed, but he frowned. He could not sense anything. What the hell was this hut? It did not look big, but a near-emperor powerhouse went in and actually disappeared. He won't be dead, right? Fong Ping was a little worried. He was a little scared. Should he go in? Chapter 1107. Taking a day off from global martial arts. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 1108. Fong Ping was still considering whether to enter when suddenly another figure flashed past. Earthshing. Fong Ping's eyes lit up when he saw Earthshing. Among them, he wanted to kill Earthshing the most. This guy had a fat baby. Origin realm. Earthshing seemed to know something too. He frowned and gritted his teeth. Before Fong Ping could react, this guy rushed into the hut. Decisive. Earthshing was considered decisive among them, whether it was when he attacked Earthman or when he made a deal with Fong Ping. At this moment, Earthshing did not hesitate and entered Origin Realm directly. Seeing this, Fong Ping gritted his teeth. If Earthshing dared to enter, there was nothing he would not dare to do. This hut was an inanimate object, after all. Could it be more threatening than an emperor level? I'm in. Fong Ping's figure flashed and disappeared on the spot, entering the Origin hut. The vicinity of the hut was quiet again. After a while, Taoist Feng Yin walked over from the fork. Seeing the Origin hut, Taoist Feng Yin frowned slightly. He stared for a while, but did not say anything. After a while, Taoist Thunder also came over vigilantly. Seeing Taoist Feng Yin, his expression changed slightly. His gaze was sharp. Soon, his gaze fell on the hut. After looking for a while, he seemed to recognize something and frowned slightly. Origin realm. Is it open or closed? Taoist Feng Yin stared for a while and said slowly, "It might be open." Before the sect leader left, he didn't even close the origin realm. The sect leader didn't prepare to leave for a long time. Taoist Feng Yin was not surprised at all. When King Kuan left, he did not think that he would not return. If that was the case, some things were naturally not arranged. The two talked for a while. Thunder said in a low voice, "Do you want to go in?" "Thunder, you're not going in?" Taoist Feng Yin smiled faintly. "I won't fight with you for the opportunity." Thunder said indifferently, "The origin realm is a good place. This is the treasure of the myriad Taos left behind by the master of the hall, the guardian of the spring." "Feng Yin, aren't you tempted?" "The treasure of the myriad Taos?" Feng Yin chuckled. "It's just a simulation of the myriad Taos. It's not like it's the real myriad Taos. Thunder, it's not like we don't know. Moreover, we haven't reached that level yet. We're not the sect leader. We don't need to observe the entire source world." "That's true." Thunder nodded and disappeared from the fork in the blink of an eye. He had heard that the origin realm was a good place. Moreover, some of the great Tao that King Kuan had plotted over the years seemed to be stored within. However, the origin realm was also very dangerous, and it was easy to get lost. He did not want to enter it at this time. The most important thing was the celestial, dark, golden body. He wanted to see if he could obtain some great opportunities from the Heavenly Emperor Golden Body. After he left, Taoist Feng Yin frowned, slightly in regret. Taoist Feng Yin actually wanted to go in and take a look. The origin realm was a relic left behind by the person who guarded the spring in the past. It was a supreme treasure that was created after countless years of imitating the operation of the 10,000 Taos. Here, you may find yourself further along the path. Here, perhaps, you can remedy the defects in your path. There is no way to continue on the great Tao. Perhaps you can find the one that belongs to you in the simulated myriad Taos. Even though the Spring Guardian was only an imitation, a powerhouse like the Spring Guardian had great foresight and was definitely more knowledgeable than King Kuan. Even King Kuan felt that this was a good place and had spent a lot of effort on it over the years. Even King Kuan could benefit from it, let alone them. However, this place was indeed dangerous. It was very easy to get lost in it. Taoist Feng Yin felt that he might not get lost, but Thunder had left. He did not want to stay any longer. "Let's look for the celestial, dark, golden body first." Taoist Feng Yin took a breath and disappeared soon after. The origin realm. As soon as Fang Ping entered, he was a little dazed. At this moment, he appeared in a patch of darkness. It was a very familiar feeling. Soon, Fang Ping shook his head and murmured, This is the point from back then." The point from when he stepped into the origin realm. Opening up the origin realm was originally to open up a small foothold in the darkness. Only then would one open up a path that belonged to oneself. As soon as Fang Ping entered, he felt that he was familiar. Now that he connected it with what he thought before, he quickly understood that this was a man-made origin realm. "I think I have some idea of what the origin realm is." Fang Ping said the small house. He roughly knew what the small house was used for. Fang Ping's eyes flickered. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from the darkness. "Once you step into the origin realm, you can't regret it. There are thousands of paths in the world. Who dares to say that their path is the strongest? The path ahead is unclear. There are no regrets in martial arts. I am unwilling and unconvinced. Who said that my martial arts are inferior to others? There are regrets in martial arts. Leave the origin realm to prove your Tao." In the void, an old voice came. Fang Ping listened for a while, raised his eyebrows, and ignored it. It was just a remnant of the past, no different from a phonograph. However, he could hear something in general. The owner of this origin realm seemed to have taken the wrong path back then. Or perhaps he was not strong enough and regretted it. However, the origin realm was established. After walking for countless meters, could it be destroyed and restarted? Destroying the Tao often meant death. Out of 100 destroyed Tao, 99 would die, and the remaining one would be crippled, unless it was replaced by other existing Tao. Wu Quishan, Tian Mu, and the others had actually destroyed Tao before, but they were all replaced by other Tao. Moreover, they were not completely destroyed back then. Wu Quishan was still walking on his own Tao now, just wearing the mysterious, jade, true king's Tao as a skin. There are regrets in Tao. Fang Ping rubbed his chin. How could he regret it? At this moment, the surroundings suddenly brightened up. Then a Tao appeared. Like an undersea tunnel, a crystal-like passageway appeared in the darkness. This is your Tao. Walk in and see if there is an end to your Tao. How far can you walk? There are regrets in the origin realm. A vague voice came into his ears. Fang Ping glanced at the Tao in front of him. After a while, he was speechless. Nonsense, this is your Tao, not mine. Who were you looking down on? Was my Tao so wide? Was it tens of meters? My Tao was more than 3,000 meters. Were you looking down on me? Return my Tao. Who were you fooling? In the darkness, the crystal Tao seemed to be waiting for something. Seeing that Fang Ping did not enter after a long time, a force similar to the origin, Qi, swept past Fang Ping. It swept one round, and another round after a while a human voice came into his ears again. This is your Tao. When he said this, the crystal Tao rumbled and changed, as if it had expanded slightly. Fang Ping rolled his eyes. He understood a little. Were you scanning my aura? You can't scan it, right? Now you just randomly made a Tao to fool me, and you dare say it's my Tao? Looks like it's not that great. Fang Ping thought it was quite mysterious earlier. The owner who left this behind was quite powerful. Now it seemed ordinary. Fang Ping looked left and right. After a while, he did not see Ground Strange and Ground Xing. He was a little depressed. Where were they? At this moment, the scanning continued. In the void, another wave of energy swept over. It seemed to be slightly stronger than before. The force swept past Fang Ping, as if it was trying to identify something. The crystal path began to change again. One moment, it became tens of meters wide. The next moment, it became hundreds of meters wide. The next moment, it even became thousands of meters wide. Fang Ping suddenly chuckled. The aura on his body changed. In the next moment, Yun Sheng's aura emerged. At this moment, the space trembled slightly. At this moment, a crystal Tao appeared in front of him. This is your Tao. Walk in. There are regrets in the Tao. The mechanical voice sounded again. Seeing this, Fang Ping rubbed his chin. He thought for a while. Suddenly his aura changed again. This time it became Qi Huanyu's aura. Rumble. The crystal Tao changed again. This time, the Tao in front of him changed a little beyond Fang Ping's expectations. A Tao that was hundreds of meters wide appeared. It seemed similar to the one Fang Ping saw when he entered Qi Huanyu's Tao. You can really imitate it? Fang Ping was a little surprised. Was this place so mysterious? After thinking about it, Fang Ping was suddenly interested. He went in to take a look. Was it dangerous? It did not feel dangerous. Fang Ping thought about it and still stepped in. He did not feel too much danger. It should not be too dangerous. This Tao. Was it really Qi Huanyu's Tao? A fake was a fake. Fang Ping did not think that anyone could imitate someone else's Tao completely. As soon as Fang Ping stepped into the crystal Tao, he felt a sense of familiarity. It was too similar to Qi Huanyu's Tao that day. Everyone's Tao was different. Some people's Tao was like sheep's intestines, pitch black. Some people's Tao was like heaven, illuminated by sunlight. Some people's Tao was like a single log bridge, extremely dangerous. There were also people like Qi Huanyu whose Tao was flat. Other than some weak points at the end, there were almost no other flaws. Fang Ping entered and looked around. He did not see those memory fragments. This was normal. After all, he knew that this place was fake. Fang Ping looked for a while and continued to walk forward. 500 meters, 800 meters, 1,000 meters. When he walked to 1,000 meters, there was still a path ahead. It seemed like he could not see the end. Fong Ping was surprised. He frowned slightly and continued to walk forward. 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters. At this moment, a person appeared in the Tao, performing martial arts. Fong Ping looked at the phantom. Was this not Yun Sheng? No, was this not how he looked now? In the Tao, Yun Sheng was extremely domineering. A long spear swept in all directions, breaking the void and shattering heaven and earth. The further he went, the stronger he was. 10,000 meters. Soon, Fong Ping walked to 10,000 meters. At 10,000 meters, in the Tao, the phantom appeared again. It was still Yun Sheng. At this moment, Yun Sheng wore an emperor crown on his head, golden boots on his feet, holding a golden long spear in his hand. A spear pierced through fifth heaven. In front of the phantom, chaos appeared. A 5-petal black lotus appeared. Breaking 5. This definitely had the strength of an emperor level, and it was not the weakest kind. A destructive power of more than 2. For million calories. This meant that if Yun Sheng, no, if Qi Huanyu did not die, walked to 10,000 meters and entered emperor level, he would have the strength to break 5. Fong Ping watched like he was watching a movie as Yun Sheng swept in all directions in the void, practicing martial arts. He became more and more interested. This place was a little interesting. The great Tao he saw seemed to be real. If Qi Huanyu did not die and continued to build according to the direction of this Tao, would he really be able to enter emperor level smoothly? It's hard to say. Fong Ping shook his head and continued walking forward. The further he went, the stronger the phantom. As he walked, he had almost walked to the point of 20,000 meters. Fong Ping's expression changed slightly. In front of him, the Tao seemed to have reached a cliff, broken. Yes, a broken section. In front of the broken Tao, there was darkness. The Tao has an end. In the void, a voice came again. Your Tao can't become a saint. The Tao is regrettable. Repent, and you will be saved. Fong Ping looked around, walked to the end, and touched the broken section. It was as if it was real. At this moment, Fong Ping suddenly raised his head. In the void, Yun Sheng knelt on the ground, the long spear broken, howling at the sky. With a look of despair, the next moment, blood splattered in the void, his head cut off by an unknown enemy. Fong Ping seemed to be watching a show without any sense of immersion. Yun Sheng was beheaded, not me. Yun Sheng was killed long ago, and I killed him myself. Besides, Yun Sheng does not use a spear. Interesting. Fong Ping rubbed his chin. It was a little interesting. This place was a little mysterious. Previously, when the space scanned his aura, it gave him Qi Huanyu's Tao. This was because he imitated Qi Huanyu's aura. But what appeared was the appearance of Yun Sheng, because his current appearance was that of Yun Sheng. If it were someone else, wouldn't it be their own Tao that they imitated? Their own appearance? Watching helplessly as they become stronger, and then their Tao collapses after becoming stronger, with no path forward, killed by someone. This would make people despair, wouldn't it? And then Fong Ping let out a sudden laugh. He knew, at this moment, the entire crystal Tao was collapsing. Almost in an instant, the Tao he waited for completely shattered. At this moment, Fong Ping returned to the previous starting point again. The Tao is regrettable. Your Tao has an end. Take another Tao and replace it. One day to become a saint. One day to become a king. In the next moment, a Tao appeared in front of Fong Ping again. 1,000 meters wide. The sun shone brightly, and the road ahead had no end. Fong Ping chuckled and stepped into it directly. After a while, Fong Ping walked about 30,000 meters. The Tao collapsed again, and the apparition bled again. It was killed. Soon, Fong Ping returned to the starting point. A voice came from the void again. This Tao is not strong. Then take another Tao. As soon as the words were spoken, Tao was produced in the void again. Fang Ping smiled and continued to step in. This time, the Tao was wider and farther, close to 50,000 meters. When he reached the end, another voice came. The Tao is regrettable, but it can be replaced. With a thought, heaven and earth can be changed in the origin realm. At this moment in the Tao, Yun Sheng was extremely strong. He had already reached the level of the 10 great Grotto Heaven Masters. 50,000 meters Tao. The road ahead was not cut off, but it was a little unclear. As for Fang Ping, he suddenly had an urge to fly up to the sky and merge with the apparition Yun Sheng. Once he merged, he felt that he could directly possess this Tao. At the end of the road, Fang Ping looked at the sky. After a while, he sighed. It's only 50,000 meters. It's a little short. I'm not even a saint. I don't like it. Following these words, the Tao collapsed again. In the void, another voice came. This Tao is not strong. My strength can reach the heavens, but human strength is limited. If it's too strong, the golden body can't bear it. The Tao collapses, the golden body is destroyed. I don't care. Give me something stronger. Fang Ping shouted. In the next moment, the 50,000 meters Tao collapsed. Fang Ping appeared at the starting point again. This time, the front trembled for a while. Then a huge and wide Tao appeared. Fang Ping entered it quickly. As soon as he entered, he felt different. Powerful. Valiant. The Yun Sheng that appeared here had an extremely powerful qi dynamic. Fang Ping walked forward until he walked 50,000 meters. But he still could not see the end. In the void, another voice came. Shatter a Tao and can't appear again. Replace it and become a saint in a day. Give up. Everything is fabricated. The origin realm, the land of miracles. This time it was the real Tao of a saint. Fang Ping walked all the way to 80,000 meters before he felt that he could not go on anymore. The front was a little hazy, but it was not a broken section. In the void, the Yun Sheng seemed to come to life. He roared, "Come up, you are me, I am you. Merge into one. Replace it and become a saint in a day. You come down." Fang Ping chuckled. "I am you, you are not me. You are a fake Yun Sheng. I am also a fake Yun Sheng. We are in the same group, but you are not me." Fang Ping joked. Then he looked around, feeling a little speechless. It's as if it's real. If I merge now, will I be unlucky? Why do I feel that this damn place is not a good place? No one will believe in something like a pie falling from the sky, right? He realized that this place was tempting him to merge with the apparition, saying something about replacing it, but it felt too crude and unattractive. Could this place really make him fall for it? That would be underestimating him too much. All right, the main thing was that the Yun Sheng had a poor sense of immersion. If it was his real face, Fang Ping might be a little tempted. This place won't do. How do I leave? I should look for Earth Xing. Fang Ping was not interested in this. You made a Yun Sheng for me to merge. Merge what? Who is one with the Yun Sheng? Just as Fang Ping was thinking about how to get out. In the same space, ground qi looked conflicted. At this moment, he was walking on a path that was 30,000 meters long. It was a real great path. At least, ground qi felt that this place was too real. It was definitely not an illusion, but a real powerhouse's great path. In the sky, another ground qi roared, "What are you hesitating for? Do you want to live under someone else's roof? Do you want to be someone else's subordinate? Do you want to be someone else's dog? Merge. Replace. This is the great path that King Kuin stripped after killing the venerable emperor. Merge. You and I will become emperors today." Ground qi looked conflicted. Yes, he actually recognized this great path. He had never been to the venerable emperor's great path, but he felt that it was familiar. This was the path of a powerful venerable emperor in the battle of the earthly emperor god dynasty. This was a real great path. Previously, a 10,000-meter great path had appeared in front of him, but he felt that it was a little fake and was not tempted. But at this moment, what he saw was real. Ground Chi believed that it was real. Merge. Emperor. Opportunity. Ground Chi looked at the ground Chi in the sky and struggled. Could he really become an emperor if he merged it? Could he really replace the master of this great path and become a real venerable emperor? He hadn't even walked 10,000 meters of his own great path. It was extremely difficult to become an emperor. 10,000 meters was a threshold. But now there was a ready-made great path that was 30,000 meters long. Such a venerable emperor was not weak among the emperors. Merge, Ground Chi murmured. He had a feeling that once he merged with the phantom in the sky, he might really become an emperor. Is this what the sect master meant by easily losing oneself? Ground Chi murmured. These years, the Kuan Palace had been too mysterious. He had been here once, but he hadn't seen an origin realm expert. But he had heard from the sect master that King Kuan had almost merged all the great paths of the powerhouses he had stripped off over the years into the origin realm. In the origin realm, there was really a strong great path, and it was the complete kind. In fact, some people had entered it before and obtained opportunities. The sect master didn't explain in detail. He only said that the origin realm had benefits and dangers. The biggest danger was that it was easy to get lost. For example, once you really merged with the fake great path, your own great path might collapse, and the great path that replaced it would be fake. The path would be broken, and the risk of death would be very high. But Ground Chi didn't know whether the real great path would be the same. What should I choose? Ground Chi was struggling. Replace it or give it up. If he gave it up, even if this great path didn't collapse, it might not appear again. Would he encounter the real great path next? There were thousands of great paths in the origin realm, both real and fake. Among the thousands of great paths, to find some real great paths that were stronger than the one he had now and could withstand such power, it was not easy. His golden body couldn't even withstand a 30,000-meter great path, let alone a longer great path. Ground Chi was hesitating. At the same time, Ground Chi was also hesitating. At this moment, he was also on a 10,000-meter great path, the great path of a venerable emperor. It was also the real great path. Ground Chi's face was full of sweat. He had also heard some rumors about the origin realm. He had even heard that among the protectors, some had actually walked this great path and achieved the position of venerable emperor and became a protector. These great paths were the result of King Kuan's many years of hard work. King Kuan wanted to complete the convergence of thousands of great paths, so he usually wouldn't give others a chance to enter the origin realm, unless it was a great contribution. But now he had come in and become emperor in one day. What should he do? At this moment, even if he left, he felt that he had gained a lot, because he saw his own path. He had walked in and even walked to the end, but his end was only 10,000 meters. It was very difficult. Unlike this great path, there were still some paths after 10,000 meters, and he might be able to walk further soon. I'm the weakest among these people. Even Yinxing might not be able to defeat me. In this treasure hunt, I might be the first true god to die. But once I become venerable emperor, the origin realm is the result of King Kuan's hard work. Ground Chi struggled violently. The road to becoming emperor was right in front of him. He just needed to merge it. He knew that this was like a pie falling from the sky. But wasn't this the nature of opportunities? There might be some troubles, such as the merging not being smooth, or there might not be a path to walk in the future. But the benefits he got were real benefits. Becoming emperor, even if this great path wasn't his. So what? The great path was for people to walk, and there were experts who walked the great path of their predecessors. If I can't become emperor, what can I do even if I have another 200 years? I'll still die of old age, and I might not be able to live for 200 years. The great battle is coming, and I might die soon. Ground Chi gritted his teeth. The next moment, he made up his mind and flew toward the shadow.